Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is time to rise and shine. For those of you that are new here, my name is Mona, and I am a professional intuitive empath, and I am feeling mighty fine. That good morning, good morning, good morning comes directly from the heart of my mother. She would sing it to me and still does to this day. I am so blessed and lucky when she calls me in the morning to wake me and or talk to me and or annoy me in the way that mothers will do, and I'm grateful for every second. If you have your mom, hug her. If your mom has passed, send her love. It is amazing to have a good mother. So that good morning, good morning, good morning. It's time to rise and shine. And it went on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're feeling fine. Get out of bed. It's blah, 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 blah. Sleepyhead, other things, words. Y'all know that singing's not my thing, but I love it. Anyway, so I am up and feeling pretty good because I have some treadmill inspo for you. When I'm doing the treadmill in the morning, it has to be something that is easy to warm me up. Like I'm walking at no miles an hour to start, and then I ramp up and I get really, I'm on my some it's Britney bitch kind of stuff. Like you better work, right? By the time it's over. So to start, I ease in, and this morning, I have several playlists, created as we all do in our chosen streaming service of choice. For me, it's Tidal, and I love to have a slow entrance into the day because I'm not about that life first thing in the morning. Now, by the time the workout is over, I am playing music that is amazing and full of energy. But in the beginning, it's slowly, slowly. And today, what my curated playlist for the day started out with was Drake. And I love Drake. Drake is a Scorpio sun. And my God, he has had quite the run. And last couple of years, what I love about Drake, I wrote an article about him years ago, and I talked about him watching the throne regarding the run that Jay-Z and Kanye were having. And I said, I predicted accurately. I have a coworker who reached out to me a few weeks ago, and she was like, I remember sitting next to me. She was like my work wife bestie at the time. And she was like, Mo, I remember you writing this article all these years ago. One of the few people in my life that I allow to call me Mo. And it was just her. It was just funny. She was like, yeah, this was like 10 years ago, or maybe even 11 or so. And I wrote an article sitting at my desk because, y'all, when I was in corporate America, my creativity had to still flow. So if something came to me, I let it come through me. In any case, I wrote this article and she was like, I still have that. It was so crazy to me. And I thought you were nuts, but it all played out. Now, I wasn't like telling my work people exactly what I did. They didn't know what my life was really about, the work that I do. And I didn't understand even where that came from or how it came through me, but it did. I predicted accurately that Drake would overtake all of them in his own way, and to some degree he has. Jay-Z is still a billionaire, and Drake is clearly on his way. But regarding Kanye, he definitely bested him recently, and it was interesting to see. Drake is strategic, and that is Scorpio energy. And it's one of the reasons that I love Drake, because people make fun of him for being emo and saying he's just too in his feelings, but he has made some of the best music about being in your kiki. Do you love me? Are you riding? Right? So all this music about being in your feelings, and he has normalized being a thinking, intellectual person with emotions. And so I love that about Drake. Anyway, let's talk about what I'm here to talk about, though. The thing to know is that Fair Trade was a song that started my day. And he said some things in it. And I've heard the song before, but you know how your angels will just like put music for me? Music is a huge part of my channeling life. I get a litany of songs, like a jukebox almost, if you will, a streaming service that comes through for me as I am streaming my downloads from my angels. And so in anybody's reading, whether I'm working with my clients for the sites I freelance for or personally, a long list of music will come in that's accurate. And fortunately, I get why they allowed me to dabble in all genres of music, because I could be singing anything from Joni Mitchell to the Beatles to Drake to NBA YoungBoy to Wheezy F Baby, Please Say the Baby, to the Ramones. Like, I just to Blondie, I love it. Especially the Eagles. What's the one that's Fleetwood Mac? There is so much that's in my repertoire, and I never understood why, and I get it now. I quite literally do a lot of my readings via song. Anyway, this is what came to me this morning as I was living my best slow wake up life on the treadmill. Let's talk about it. He says, I don't understand why you blame me. Take me as I am. I'm the same me. Senseless sight to see. Senseless sight to see. He says, I'm feeling young, but they treat me like the OG. And they want the tea on me. He says, I swear these bitches nosy. He said, put some money on my head. I guess we gon' see. I won't put no money on his head. He says, my people owe me. I gotta be single for a while. You can't control me. Uno, dos, tres in the race. They can't hold me. And I show my face in case you want to know it's me. Imitation isn't flattery, it's just annoying me. And I'm too about it. And the dirt that they threw on my name turned to soil, and I grew up out of it. Time for y'all to figure out what you're going to do about it. Big wheels keep on rolling, rolling, true about it. He says, I've been losing friends and finding peace. But honestly, that sounds like a fair trade to me. If I ever heard one, and I'm still here outside on the front lines, he says, I've been losing friends and finding peace. Honestly, that sounds like a fair trade to me. Look, don't invite me over if you're going to throw another pity party. Looking back, it's hard to tell you where I started. I don't know who loved me, but I know it ain't everybody. I can never love her. She's a busybody. Baby, if you want me, can't be turning up with everybody. Nah, can't be just effing on anybody. Yeah, I got feelings for you, and that's the thing about it. Yeah, you know that it's something when I sing about it. Yeah. Listen, guys, there were so many things in that first chapter, and please forgive my masterpiece theater imitation of Drake's lyrics. But there are so many things for me that were just relevant for me in the last couple of years. For those of you that are like OGs here, myself, my old gang here, my old group of wonderful ascended sentient beings and thinkers and empaths and angels, you know my story. We all have a story, and we all have a launching story. In everybody's life, there will be a pivotal connection or relationship that shifts you, and then another one that comes in that shifts you again in a positive way. This part stuck out to me specifically, about the busybody. Empaths, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying we can't just deal with anybody, because we are not just anybody. You can't be with somebody who likes to have a lot of bodies and busy bodies and likes to tell your business, dating in any realm, whether it's a woman or a man. And one of the things that specifically stuck out for me when he talks about them being a busybody, he says, I don't know who loves me, but I know it ain't everybody. I can never love her. She's a busybody. That's something that I found out for me specifically. And I was like, Drake, why are you preaching right now? She was a busybody. The person that I tried to love and did love was a busybody. And my angels said, no bueno. And they pointed it out to me. They're like, she's loving her, him, her, him, her, and them. And they said, that's not what your energy is meant to be. And I don't care if you think you're snobby. We set you apart because you're not for everybody, because you're not just anybody. Empath, can you hear that? You're not for everybody because you're not just anybody. I don't give a damn what anybody in her group thought, or if they were like, does she think she's better than us? I know what I am, because you guys do not set yourself apart, nor do you restrict anything. And I was appalled. And I thought, Drake, how did you just articulate in 2 lines what I went through in the last couple of years? When he goes on to say, I can never love her, she's a busybody. If you want me, can't be turning up with everybody. You have to have someone in your life that's selective. The friends that I have in my life now, what I've whittled it down to, are people that are selective. I'm not just talking about their body count. I'm talking about their energy output, the people that they allow in. I know that they preciously protect any of our conversations, and they are very careful about my information, and they are uncomfortable if anybody even asks about me. I can't just love anybody. I need to love that kind of somebody. And I'm so grateful that those kind of somebodies have matriculated into my life, but it wasn't by accident. It's because I cut off the ones that were busybodies that could never get it right. Message, I don't care if it's romantic, platonic, energetic, frenetic, alien, or nah. You need someone who is protecting the spot, who won't blow up the spot, who's not letting everybody in your business, whether you think you got a lot of business or not. Take some good advice from Drake. Girl, that hit me in my soul. I said, yes, that's right, Drake. I cannot love anybody because they're a busybody, or I couldn't love that specific somebody because they were a busybody. And baby, if you want me, can't be turning up with everybody. Can't just be effing on anybody. Yeah, so effing, let's turn that around. Actual sex, maybe, if that's something that you're dealing with, or intercourse emotionally and verbally, okay? Because discourse is matters, and I have that in my life, and I will not deal with anybody who's going to be promiscuous in any way. I'm not just talking about sexually, I'm talking about emotionally. Some of us have been in connections, friendships, totally platonic, where someone was emotionally promiscuous, energetically promiscuous. You didn't feel safe in that relationship. Can you understand what I'm saying? You did not feel loved. You didn't feel protected. What you felt was like all your information was going to be dissected by these other people that you did not consider your equal counterparts. You weren't friends with them, you were friends with that person. How dare they? Drake said it so well. Can't be turning up with everybody, can't be effing on just anybody. And this is a part that was so poignant for me. I got feelings for you. That's the thing about it. You know that is something when I sing about it. Listen, for me specifically, this is poignant because I am an emoter of my feelings. If I love you, you will know. That is my primary love language, is words of affirmation. And when Drake said, I've got feelings for you, that's the thing about it. You know that is something when I sing about it. Now he's flipped. So whoever that busybody was, he put them out of his life. And he realized, I cannot deal with you because you're for the streets. You're outside. For those of you that are familiar with that phraseology, for that kind of urban language, I'm outside. Jadakiss recently did it and said it, which is hilarious to me, on the versus battle that he had with the versus battle that he had recently. If you guys are into that, you know what I'm talking about. But he said something and it's like a meme and you could probably find it everywhere. But he was like, I'm outside. What that means is literally I'm out in the streets, I'm out partying tonight, I'm enjoying myself. You could find me, I'm easy to find. That person was outside. And I like to be inside. Doesn't mean I don't go outside, but it means that I am a quieter energy. Empath, check your friendship circles. Are people outside? Are they too free? Is it too much energy that they happily spread around to the world? Meanwhile, they're trying to be your girl or girlfriend or friend girl. Y'all, check it. That's not something that we do. I am outside spiritually. You can find me out in these spiritual streets. I'm not outside with just anybody because I'm not just anybody, and neither are you. So when he says that, I got feelings for you, that's the thing about it. Yeah. You know that it's something when I sing about it. If I make a video about a friend that I love, then they know I love them. Okay. If I talk about my relationship with my husband, then he knows. It's not that I won't say it to them, because anything that you've ever heard me say on here are things that have passed by the ears of the people that I have loved. I have told them, this is how I feel about you. I have feelings for you. You know that it's something when I sing about it. And that's the thing about it. That's what did he say? I've got feelings for you. That's the thing about it. Yeah, you know that it's something when I sing about it. Yeah. If I love someone, I'm gonna make music. I'm gonna make poetry. I'm gonna make a concerted effort to say, this is how I love thee. That's just my way. That's the Shakespeare in me. Hardly Shakespeare, but you all know what I'm saying here. I am a communicator. And so for those of you that are not, maybe words of affirmation are not your primary love language, maybe sometimes try to convey to the people that you do love how you feel about it. And for those of you that are my people and you know exactly what I'm saying, you know that if you create art, music, or energy around someone, then there's someone that's staying. The busybody couldn't stay because they had too many people in the way of what could be a direct connection. And I'm snobby that way. I like my one-on-one. All right. So let's go back up to the other part that started the video. He says, I've been losing friends and finding peace. Come on. What else do you find when you lose friends? Sleep, rest, peace, happiness, an abatement of crazy times, no more scatterbrain energy. You get rid of the rats and the roaches that try to be at your feet. Empath, sometimes we have a lot of rats and roaches that try to be at our feet. Be careful. Snakes in the grass, forked tongues, relationships that could never last. I've been losing friends and finding peace. Let's air quote the friends, because what you lost weren't friends if they were bringing you that kind of energy. But I could not relate more to this statement, Drake. I thought, yes, yes, oui, Drake. That is in fact true. I've been losing friends and finding peace. Honestly, that sounds like a fair trade to me. Listen, if you would have told me that I would have lost the friends that I lost, cut off the relationships I cut off, moved in the direction that I moved, and went on to better days that were absolutely true, I would have told you you were crazy, because I was quite a social animal. One of my friends that I am still friends with says I used to cover 50 county miles in a night, and she wasn't wrong. She was absolutely right, meaning I would literally visit like a busybody myself. You see, it's so funny, the parallels here. I would visit like several homes in a night, and not for what you think and get your mind right, but just friends. People liked my energy. I didn't realize the commodity that I was as an empath. Do you realize who you are as an empath? That people try to drain and siphon your energy. So I was a people pleaser. Message, can any of you guys relate? And I would be literally at everybody's house in like a full day. And I would go sit with one friend and I'd be like, listen, I'm sorry, I gotta go because I gotta go over here, and this person needs me over there, and da 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 da. Now, what my angels were getting me ready for, nothing is wasted, was to be prepared to be in ministry energetically, right? So the work that I do means that I literally cover the globe in a day. I could be having a client, like I did a few days ago, that is in South Korea, military time. So I had to adjust my schedule to be up early to meet their schedule to do that reading. I could be talking to someone that's in Peru. I could be talking to someone in Alaska, in Canada too. These are all real things. Hawaii, I have a litany of clients, and I'm grateful for it, but I am around the world. I cover 50 county miles energetically. My angels were training me. Come on, nothing is wasted. To be able to hop out of everybody's energy expeditiously. But now I do it with a purpose. Now I decompress. Now I take mud baths and salt showers and salt baths. Now I get my rest. Now I go outside and ground. Now I touch the streets, but not in the way that I used to when I was covering 50 county miles. I'm outside to find my peace. I'm outside actually hugging trees. Come on. I'm outside communicating with the birds and the bees instead of being a busy body that was buzzing through everybody's house. Sometimes empaths, we will get our training and we will not understand what it's about. But if you reflect back on your life, you can see the path that you are always going to be on. It makes total sense that I covered those 50 county miles, but I used to exhaust myself because I was doing it for people that were ungrateful, that didn't really value my help, but they expected it. They were addicted to my energy. They were addicted to the vibration that I brought, and they took it for granted, and then they wanted to be busybodies and spread that everywhere. But I was there for that specific person, or to provide a specific care or energy for a specific friend. So you have to figure out where you and they begin, and that's what I did in those times. And my friend wasn't wrong, but now when she listens to this video, hey Ethel, she will realize that it was God's plan. Come on, Drake, all along. God's plan. I hold back sometimes, I won't. God's plan. I was always supposed to do this work, and maybe there's work that you were always supposed to do too, but sometimes you will have to cut the wheat from the chaff, as the Bible says. Some of those friends don't need to be around you. I've been losing friends and finding peace. This song has such a chill vibe. That's why it was one of the first to start my morning off, because you can walk at 0 miles an hour on the treadmill on it. 0.4 miles. I think that's the lowest my treadmill goes. You can do that on it. But what I will tell you is that it really anchored me into the space of like, yeah, Drake, this was always God's plan. As an empath, losing friends is not something we love to do. We really love people and we feel called to help them, right? We feel called to triage people that can't act right, that won't act right, that just want afternoon delights. That means that they're flighty and they're non-committal and all that stuff. That's not who we are. And I realized that that wasn't it. I didn't care how loyal I was to a thing. I realized that they weren't loyal to me. And I realized that I had to find my peace. And that means I had to lose those friends. You have to make peace with that. I never thought that I would. I thought that I would always be that person because I pride longevity. I value that. With the placements in my chart as a Leo sun, loyalty is everything. We love our friends, and we usually, most Leo suns that are in a healthy, balanced state, will have friendships that last their whole lifetime. I still have friends that I talk to from high school, like that reach out to me from time to time, whether we had good or bad relationships. We kind of reconnected, but they found me. And Leos don't like to lose anybody. They like having a tribe, if you will, and or a pack or a group of people that they really stay connected with. But my angel said, yeah, you are a Leo, but that doesn't mean that you can't use your discernment. My sweet empath listening, use your discernment. I don't care if you're a Leo or not. Use your discernment. Does that person, that old high school friend that made you feel good or bad, have to stay in your life? Now, the people that are in my life are people that I've reconciled with or held accountable. Because empath, a lot of our dynamics were people pleasing, right? So some of those high school friends that are in my life today were people that I had to have real conversations with as adults if they wanted to stick and stay. I had to tell them, you are absolute wild as a Taliban. You are a little bit narcissistic over here or to there. And their response let me know if they were allowed to stay present around my stratosphere. Does that make sense? Could they take accountability? Could they apologize? Could they try to make it right? And the ones that did, they got to stay. They did not have to go away, but I will not, and I advise highly, deal with anybody who cannot take accountability. We all mess it up, including myself, but I will be the first to apologize. I didn't get that right, or I'm sorry if I made you feel away, or please let me understand and clear this up. Anybody that's my friend knows that I will say, I didn't realize that I made you feel that way, or I apologize. I had a friend recently say to me something that I said to someone else years ago, and I got it, because we always see that's karma. We will have these full circle moments where we will realize how we might have made someone else feel. I said to someone that I wanted our relationship to be about us and not to be about another person. And they got resentful and angry, and I had to lose that friend and find my peace. But it's because I value one-on-one connections. And every person that I'm friends with, I try to have a special connection with. In recent years, as my friend felt not as prioritized, she articulated that to me. Hey, Ethel. She articulated that to me, and she said, I want our conversations and I want our time and interactions to be just about you and me. And she gave me an example about her boyfriend who had a past person that he had this kind of really toxic connection with. And she was always saying that he was talking about that toxic connection. And she could tell that there was still an energetic resonance. You know how we're still addicted to someone, but we try to act like we're not. And so he was kind of using her to emotionally masturbate, right? Can you guys understand what I'm saying there? And he thought that he was like really slick about it. Or maybe he wasn't aware that he still had that real close connection and tie. And so she said to him, I don't always want to hear about this girl, not because she was jealous, but because she was claiming her space. She was being appropriately territorial. And yes, guys, we're allowed to be territorial because we all are. We're primal. We're animals. It's okay to be territorial. That's something I really had to make peace with as an empath several years ago, when I didn't think that it was okay to be like, this is absolutely out of pocket and I don't accept it and I don't like it. But I learned that I can say that with somebody. If I want my time one-on-one with them, I can say that. If they don't want to give it, that's okay, guys. Message. People are allowed to reject what you want, but it's okay for you to also articulate what you need. So my Ethel articulated that to me, that she felt like in my happiness in a new friendship that I was not making I wasn't making her a priority. And that doesn't mean that the new friend wasn't making me happy, but it does mean that the friend, and this is something I learned in Girl Scouts, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. Y'all, that is so true. You don't throw away someone just because you got a new boo, someone that's sparkly and magical, that's making you feel all your magical feelings. Your old friends know you tried and true. That friend had been in the trenches with me, made gingerbread houses with me in culinary school. They won first place, PS. So it stayed up all night with me while I was doing all of that mess. Helped me write papers. When I did articles on Belgium, that was one of my things as a dissertation, whatever you do for culinary. We have to like focus on a country at the end of the semester. And I also got to blow that out of the park, but that was with her help. She catered with me. She did all kinds of things. She was a wonderful person in my life and still is to this day. But she felt like our friendship was ebbing away as I was delighted and happy in a new connection. And she called me on it. And I'm so grateful that she did. When you lose friends and find peace, you end up with the best of the somebodies that are by your side. She called me on my BS, or called me on my happiness, but not in a bad way. She says, I'm happy for you and I want you to be happy, but I miss you and I want to connect with you. And I heard her. And never another day did I bring up the energy of the new connection, that I put that in her face. And I wasn't doing it purposely. Sometimes we can be not as empathetic as we think. And I didn't realize that it was causing her emotional distress. But she said it to me, and then I did my best to course correct. You can keep people in your life that are willing to course correct, and we will have to course correct. Now I make sure to connect with her, and it's just about me and her. It's not about what I'm doing with my new friend or anything else. I have prioritized our time together. I have made the adjustment that needed to be made. Instead of covering 50 county miles and then bringing that to her place, when I'm at the mile 27, which is her county mile, I'm just the friend that's in her face, and it's just me and her. It's okay for people to feel away. And so what I got to see was that full circle moment here regarding friendship, because I had said something similar to someone who was a busybody. And they took it great offense and then tried to launch some spiritual warfare drama with me that they were never ready to really be in. They were ill equipped to deal with what came as a result of plotting and being cruel and mean and all of these things because they were offended. I never am hating on someone's new sparkly thing, because we all deserve a new sparkly thing and we all will have them and manifest them and create them. But what it is to know is you will respect the space that I am in a relationship. Just like my Ethel challenged me. She said, I need you to love on me. Just me. I am somebody who is covetous and jealous of our connection, and I don't want you to not have other connections, but I need to feel this hot smoking convection when it's just me and you, boo. And I said, I got you. I get you. And it's because I understood, because it was something that I had requested of someone else. I had stood my ground. I had done all the stuff that I teach here. I had spoken up. I had articulated myself. I had faced my fears, and I was covertly punished for it because someone could not see the forest for the trees. And in that case, I was warning someone against someone who was egregious and dangerous and who would literally destroy and offset the course of their life. It was a prediction. It wasn't jealousy. But it's okay to have healthy jealousy and to want to have your friendship be about you and thee, whomever the thee is, right? That's okay. And when Ethel came to me, they said, this is your opportunity to see how this feels. Because you requested something of somebody and they had a negative reaction and they pushed you away and they sabotaged the relationship. Pulverized is the word my angel said. They pulverized the relationship because they got in their head and they thought that you were trying to take their friend or take them away from their friend, and it was immaturity. They said, you have an opportunity here to be mature with Ethel. Ethel is in my life to this day. She's not a friend that I'm going to lose to find my peace. Though there have been times where I have pushed back or pushed her away or said, I don't like a thing or I don't feel what you're saying. But that's a good friendship because she's sticking and staying. So it's important to get those things right, because you're not going to be uncomfortable with a good friend by your side if you can't communicate that's something you don't like. And I had lots of things that I communicated with her that she didn't like, and she adjusted, and we talked and we cried, but we got through it. Silver and gold. You do not throw one away just because you got some new silver. That gold is here to stay. I am a loyal friend through and through. Yes, that's a Leo. That's in me. But there's also loyalty. That's in all of you. And you should expect that loyalty from your friends. So in that moment, I often come on here and talk about other things that have happened to me, but I wanted you to see the other side of the coin. We decided that it would not be peaceful for us to lose a friendship. And so she held me accountable to honor her in the space that we were in when we connected. I could have my new friend who is lovely, but she needed to be respected and feel like she was loved too. And she asked me to just say, can it just be about me and you and not about all the new magical things that you're about to go do or that you have done with a new friend? And I said, I get it. You know, we're excited when we have new connections in our life. And I realized that in my excitement, I was on some level not treating my Ethel right. She deserved differently and she deserved better. It didn't mean that I sabotaged the relationship or pulverized it like the busybody that I had to push away did. I realized that she was right. She got to have her say. Just like I had held her accountable, she decided to hold me accountable. And this happened a few years ago. But still, I understood the parallel. My angel said, full circle moment. See, any practitioner, any empath, anybody that's in spirituality, we get lessons quicker. You guys get it? So you don't get away with what other people will. That other person that was so terrible got to get away with all of that, and she paid her consequences and had her karma and lived her life. And she may not have ever made the connections and understood it. But the second that my Ethel, I'm so grateful for her, said that to me, I realized, oh, this is what I did to the busybody. I held her accountable, and she literally had a terrible reaction to it. And my angel said, will you rise? Will you stand? Will you be honorable? Will you hold space for your friend who is feeling something? And it feels like neglect to her, even though that's not what you intend. Can you use your words like a grown-up? Can you stay in this relationship and not take your ball and go home? And because of that, we get to continue to grow. When you lose friends, you will find peace. And when you hold people accountable, you will find peace. And when you cut people off that are not willing to be accountable, you will find peace. I regret nothing. Wouldn't take nothing from my journey now is what my Angela says. I regret nothing about the way that I've handled myself in the last few years. I don't regret the people that I've had to spiritually cuss out actually cuss out. I don't regret the people that I've had to cut off. I don't regret the spiritual warfare. I don't regret unsheathing my emotional and spiritual machete and off with their heads. I regret nothing because for us empaths, you know it's true. We give people multiple chances to get it right with you, don't we? It is not just one or two, it's probably way too many. So many that they take for granted that you'll always be there. I've had it said several times by some of the most prominent narcissists in my life. I always thought you'd stay. First one, a guy in my 20s, and another one, and another one. I've had three that were pretty intense, two women and one guy. And they always were shocked when I was like, bye bye, because they had time after time. I'm hearing Cyndi Lauper. Time after time, it shifts. You can no longer be in the twilight of an energy that isn't bright, that's trying to bring you down. You are allowed to stand your ground and say, this doesn't feel good to me. And if you can't make our relationship about just you and me, then I can't be in this relationship. It doesn't mean be isolating and be crazy and be, bipolar. And I'm no offense to anybody bipolar, but what I'm saying is, I'm actually thinking of Trisha Paytas. Borderline personality people are emotionally abusive and cruel. They threaten to kill themselves and they're manipulative and all this other stuff. And they just don't know what they're going to do if you're not their only friend. Codependency. Earth angels and empaths, a lot of us have been there. We've been steeped in that kind of nonsense, and that's because of what we had to do to survive. But I couldn't be codependent anymore, and I think that that's something that you have to evolve out of to stay alive energetically and spiritually. I had to lose codependency, and I had to find me. You can want to be up underneath somebody all day. Enmeshment feels great, but you have to have your boundaries. And for my Ethel, she had her boundary. She wanted to make sure that in my discovery of me and all of the new wonderful things happening in my life that I didn't lose my connection to her. She wasn't wrong, and that helped us find our peace. The people that you cut off are going to lead you to peace. I've never been happier. I've never been more free. I don't have anybody's thought bubbles around me. That's the thing, empath. We pick up on all energy. So a lot of the self-limitations that you think you have are really other people's projected fears and disbeliefs of what you can do. Even with my Ethel, I've had to call her out a time or two about something that she didn't think that I can manifest specifically. And I've talked to her about this, so I feel safe to say it. I was hunting for an apartment years ago, and it was my first place. This is years and years ago when I had lived out of the state. I had lived in Alabama, sweet home Alabama. I had lived in Alabama, and that was a hot mess. And I came back to Florida, and I had to move back in with my mom, and I had not lived with my mom in 10 years, okay? I had moved out pretty much when I was like 15. And so I had not lived with my mom in so many years, and then I had to live with her, and I was like, couldn't wait to get out. Like 25 and back with my mom, crazy times, scary hours, right? And I wanted my first place. Like, I had my own place. I'd actually bought a home in Alabama, but in Florida, I wanted to get my like first place, right? So I was apartment hunting, and I was just looking and looking. And my Ethel, who had limiting ideas of what I could have, and I called her on it, and I talked to her about it. So again, I feel safe saying it. I was looking for a place with a balcony. I started looking for furniture. I started buying couches. And she had come with me on a couple of trips, one hilarious one, where we're loading this huge couch that I still have to this day that was like all covered in like denim, that like slip covers that came off, that I absolutely loved. It was like a big, deep couch. I was like, I had manifested it. I'd wanted this like big, deep, like sitting couch, which are now all the rage. But I was ahead of my time. So her boyfriend at the time, and then she and I like found this and like got it for a steal of a deal and loaded it into his van. And it was crazy and it was hilarious, like a morning. And I later was saying to her, like, oh my goodness, I found this amazing balcony piece, settee or whatever, that I want too. And I hadn't found the apartment yet. And she said to me, what makes you think that you'll have a balcony? She had a limiting belief of what I could manifest for whatever reason. I don't know why. And I asked her about that as the years went by, but I cut her emotionally in that moment because I didn't need her energy formations on me to limit what I could manifest for myself. What makes you think you can have a balcony? This is still my friend to this day. But what I want you to understand is that people will have a lot of things that they do and do not say that can affect your ability to manifest. So in that moment, I kind of emotionally distanced myself from her. because I thought, I don't want a friend that doesn't think that I could manifest a balcony. Like, what the hell is that? I like friends that say yes and that say why not. A lot of your friends will have limiting beliefs about what your quote unquote friends will have limiting beliefs. That was a limiting belief. That was not a reason to end a friendship. But when I did speak to her about it, I was like, you have had other moments where you've done things like that, and I don't understand what that is. That is her issue. Even as we dealt with some stuff recently regarding emotionality and how I grieved the loss of busybodies in my life, various busybodies in my life, she didn't understand it. She couldn't relate to it. And then when we got to the nitty gritty of it, because instead of just throwing the friendship away and being like, you've hurt my feelings and you're dangerous and you're trying to da 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 da, instead of being all dramatic and melodramatic about it, I just said to her, I feel like something's going on. Let's talk about it. And upon the discovery, this is what Zig Ziglar says: seek first to be understood, seek first to understand someone else and then to be understood. So I knew she wasn't understanding me when she was kind of like encouraging me to hurry up with my grief. Maybe it annoyed her, maybe it made her uncomfortable. But when I talked to my Ethel about it, she said I was not allowed to grieve when she got divorced and that her sister shunned it and shut it down. And I'd seen that happen in other people's life where they had walked away from their wife or their girlfriend, and because maybe a father was homophobic, they wouldn't allow them to grieve, so they had to swallow it, and they never properly healed, and it caused chaos in their life afterwards. So instead of throwing away my friendship, I asked her, why are you trying to squelch my process? Because this is my process. It's not your process, nor am I actually talking to you about it. She was offended by watching my videos and coming to my videos. Not offended, but she felt like it was too much energy and grief. And I was like, it's going to be here until I'm done with it, homie. Love ya. But I pushed back and I stood up for myself. And then I asked her, why is this an issue? And when she was vulnerable with me, she said, it's an issue because it's something I couldn't do. Sometimes people will have limiting ideas about you that have nothing to do with you. You have to discern that. And you have to push back and you have to stand your ground. That doesn't mean that Ethel didn't get to be around, but it did mean that because I saw that she had the maturity and the energy to actually have a conversation with me, to actually go past some of her ingrained beliefs. My Ethel is in her 60s. So she has these ingrained beliefs that have been really kind of calcified. She comes from a different world and a different life. We come from completely different worlds in all ways. And she took time to understand me, even though sometimes it was scary. And even though sometimes it hurt. And even though sometimes we cried. And even though sometimes we weren't always by each other's side. But you don't get rid of someone that's gold. She is golden in her way. And this is what I wanted to say, is that it's okay for you to not always agree with a friend. Everybody that you have a disagreement with doesn't end up in the bin. That's not what I'm saying, guys. But if they don't have the emotional responsibility to have a conversation with you and you can't dissect it, fortunately for me and her, I didn't just get overwhelmed by that energy. I realized that this must be coming from somewhere, because that's the work I do. I figure out the origins of things and why something is true. And that worked out well for us. And I feel like even in that, I got to heal her in that way and say, that's your experience, but you cannot rush my process. And I realized that I was absolutely right, not because of anything that Ethel did say, but because of you guys, because of the people that are here listening, the many, many emails I received, the letters and the comments that said, not only you were helping to save a life, but man, I went through this and I felt absolutely alienated, and you articulated it just right. And I didn't know I was allowed to feel this way. And you validated how I was feeling. My Ethel was uncomfortable because that was not her experience, but my angels guided me to do another thing. Empath, you have to trust your voice. No matter who your friends are, you have to make your own choices about what's right for you. And I got in spades validation that the right thing I did do when I made every single video and expressed every ounce of pain, whether it was cringe, whether you had to turn it off and look away, whether you cried with me and empathized with me, or whether you decided to stick and stay and be one of my core loyal subscribers and people that show up to every single video. There's about 35 to 40 of you, and I couldn't be more grateful. What I want you to understand is that happened because I didn't listen to what I felt at the time was hateful. I thought, why are you hating on me? You know what I went through. And maybe she didn't know fully. When I said this, I made a video called Tear Soup. She actually gave me that book, my Ethel, because she was trying to show me her heart. I do love you. I just couldn't be part of the process. She's a Pisces. She's very sensitive to energy. And my pain was hurting her. and she couldn't relate to the depth of pain. Also, she didn't know the depth of the relationship that I had with a busybody. So I didn't share it with her every breath and every stroke. I'm very private. I took an oath. When I'm friends with someone, there's an incredible loyalty. So whatever's happening in that relationship is insulated, and I don't run it by everybody. That's why I did not respect the busybody. And check that respect regarding the busybodies in your life. If they're telling everybody your business, that's not your friend. Sometimes you just have to keep something in and use your intuition to figure it out. But I wasn't going to my Ethel and like crying every day. In fact, I probably talked to her 2 times. One time when I was in the person's house and she was being incredibly abusive, and she just happened to call, and she could tell that something was wrong. I think she was sent energetically to call and check on me. And another 2 times, actually 3 times, when I was back home and just in the dregs of the depression initially, because I was having this realization that this person really didn't like me and was like being malicious and cruel to me. Like, it took me a while to kind of wake up to the reality of it, even though I had been watching it play out and predicted it. And the way that my Ethel was ingesting my pain was through my video work. So it wasn't like I was bringing it to her door. And I thought, how dare you not allow me to do my process and understand what it's for? But then when we had that conversation, she said, I wasn't allowed to process. That's what she got to. Sometimes people will do that kind of thing to you because they weren't allowed to do a thing, and so they think you should handle it in a different way. And she still has remnants of her divorce and shrapnel from that energy because she wasn't fully allowed to process it. But with me, it's safe, and she could. And we did. And I held her energetically when she was going through what she went through. I was with her when she was going through her divorce, and I never judged her in it. And that's why I didn't understand why she couldn't give that to me. But you will not always get reciprocity from someone in the same way if they were not allowed to really process their pain. It's natural for me to hold space for someone as an empath. You get it, guys? We all do that. Anybody here listening is an empath. It is natural for me to hold space for somebody. So I couldn't understand why she couldn't do the same for me. And in her own way, she eventually did. But that wasn't without us having a few conversations and deciding that we were going to be gold in each other's life, and we were going to stick and stay in the hard times and get it right. That's a good friend. That's a friend you don't have to lose to find your peace. But if you do have to lose friends to find your peace, then do it joyfully. Do it willingly. God will always restore the years that the locusts have eaten. I could not have asked for a better group of people in my life, but it's because I decided to see who was wrong and who was right for me, instead of just trying to be everybody's favorite somebody. I was an energetic busybody. Make sense? Now I focus that energy into a career where people appreciate me and value me for my time, and they pay me for it. And if you're just my friend, then that's fine too. But energetically, we still pay each other. You get it? That doesn't change. Does someone respect you? Do they show up for you? Are they private with you? Do they make sure that your time is one-on-one? Do they not gossip about you? With some of the friendships that I've had to check people on some of those things. Because as I have grown in my life, I have found that, I don't know, it feels very Michael Jackson-esque. And I even said that to my Ethel. I don't want to be around everybody when I come to your house. I don't want you to invite the village over. I just want my one-on-one with you. It's an interesting circular conversation that we've had several times in our relationship, where she has mirrored back to me those feelings, and I have mirrored them back. Because when I go around people, as empaths, you guys know, everybody wants your energy in the room. And I just happen to have a parlor trick that's pretty fun, which is that I can read people's energy, and everybody wants a reading. And I'm not there sometimes at a friend's house to be everybody's practitioner. I have websites, several of them. I have businesses, several of them, and you can find me. I'm outside in that way. Okay? We circle back to the beginning of the conversation. But I don't want to be a practitioner when I go to someone's house to decompress and to play. And Ethel was a great resource of decompression for me. She reminds me of, what is it? The Matrix, the Oracle in the Matrix. And no, not necessarily that way, and she's not black and none of that, but what I will say is that when I go to her house, we have these intersections of spirituality. She is a deeply spiritual friend, one of my most probably deeply spiritual friends, and she's doing her own research and having her own downloads and very Piscean psychic energy. And whenever we do connect, it's always to open something new up. We have beautiful esoteric conversations about metaphysical stuff, and I value that so much, but I didn't necessarily want to filter the village or whomever she wanted to invite over. And I said so. Y'all, you're allowed to say how you feel. That didn't end our friendship. You guys get it? Not everybody is mature enough to deal with that. And some people will push back and be offended. But I was like, you're not going to take advantage of me this way. Did that mean that Ethel wanted to take advantage of me? No. It means that she was happy with me. It means that she wanted to maybe have other people see me, and she was proud of me, and she believed in me before anybody did. One of the first people to be like, you are crazy psychic and one of the best. I'd be embarrassed. I remember us being at a county fair, and a huge fair over in Tampa, and her sister was like at the top tier of the organization. And Ethel is by rights a carney, literally grew up in a carney family, but they like made it into like business for real. And she traveled all around the country. She's just a really fascinating, interesting person. And so we were at this fair, the courtesy of her sister, and spending the day. And we were inside of the, like, the expo place where it's like inside and indoors, and everybody's selling all of their wares. And she was just to every vendor we went to telling people that I was just the best psychic in the world. It was like, so, it was like cringe in the way like your mom is like, this is my daughter and she's amazing. And that's how my Ethel was with me. This is before I was a practitioner, really. Like, I was doing it at parties and working for charity events, but I hadn't really honed it into an actual proper career yet. And she believed in me, and she believed in me before that. And that's why when little infractions come up where we disagree, or I don't relate, or I don't understand her way of handling me, I seek first to understand her before I try to be understood, because I realize she's valuable and that at her core, she is good. When she's pushed back on me, we've had friction, y'all. In many ways and in many areas of my life, we have not always agreed. I've not always thought she was right, and she has not always thought I was right. And sometimes we were both wrong. But she was worth it, and she has been all along. That's what I want you guys to find. If you are keeping people in your life, make sure that they are bringing you peace. And ultimately, I realized that Ethel brought me peace, and she was worth. And the Ethel is to Lucy. So Lucy and Ethel. I'm Lucy. She's my Ethel. She has been a person by my side in so many ways, and doesn't mean that we always agree or get along perfectly, but it means that she's valuable to me, and I think that I'm valuable to her. That's how you will discern the friends that bring you peace. It's a fair trade. There is a reciprocity, and it's not always easy. I really value that friendship with her. The more I'm talking about it, the more I understand, because it hasn't been easy. There have been painful things that have happened with us both, on both sides, things that have hurt her feelings that I've done, things that she's done that have hurt my feelings, and yet we press on. I love a relationship like that. Not to say that I love the hurting part, but it's inevitable that that will happen in any friendship or relationship, platonic or otherwise, guys. No relationship is just easy every single day. You'll get frustrated with your partner, but if you stick and stay and don't push them away and don't pulverize it, my God, is it worth it? I love you, Ethel, if you're listening. And to the Ethels in your life, maybe send them a text today and tell them you love them too. The Ethels that have stuck through thick and thin with you, even when you guys weren't on the same page. Those are the friends that deserve your love, not your rage. They deserve energy and gratitude. But for the busybodies that are not trying to really rock with you, find your peace. It's the best of fair trades. I love you guys. Come back and join me next time. Oh, I have some comments. All right, let's see. Good morning. Chaka Chaka Chaka. I never know how to say your name. The Queen of Empaths. Oh, you are so sweet. I will take that this morning. I woke up feeling, what did I wake up feeling like? I was in the kingdom. I don't know if I was a queen, but thank you. I'll take it. I love the manifestation of it all. The Queen of Empaths, always loved listening. What do you do if you're stuck between someone you've had a relationship with for a year, taken care of, and someone new has been catching your eye? I want it all. Ooh, what a delicious question. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And this person is, I'm going to see if I can say it. Why do I think that this says Coochie Choc 1? So, girl, I don't know. Are you melanated, sis? I don't know, because I'm seeing chocolate. I feel like chocolate. Chocolate coochie? Is that what we're saying? I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But let's answer that question. She says, I'm sorry, guys, if it sounds like I can't read. The way that I'm reading is at a weird angle. What do you do if you're stuck between someone you've had a relationship with for a year, taken care of, and someone new who's been catching your eye? Well, it depends on whether the relationship is platonic or romantic, but I think the advice is going to be the same because we will always have new people that catch our eye. What did I say, right? Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. There will always be someone new. There's always someone new. Even if you're in a marriage, this is what I've learned as well. You're going to be attracted to people. You guys know my life. I am bisexual. My husband knows my life too because I'm an honest boo. I don't play games. And he knows my type. That's my type. Hey, he knows my type. If I'm looking at a woman, he knows my type. Quite literally, he can pick out my type. I happen to be partial to a redhead, right? So he knows that if I see a redhead, he knows that that's someone that I might be attracted to, depending. And it's a specific kind of redhead as well. So he kind of knows my type. And what I will say is that just because I'm married doesn't mean that my husband doesn't know that someone might catch my eye. So that's for those of you dealing with the romantic situations. Obviously, it may not be a girl for you. It could be a guy. If you're straight, you might have a certain type. There might be a certain actor or actress. Good morning, Amber, Joanne. Good morning. Hey, thanks for joining me. So we all have types, right? So what I will say is that, or like, when someone new is catching your eye, but you've been like dealing with someone else, if it's a relationship, you're going to have to make a decision because like you might want to deal with someone else new and you might have to abandon your boo. I think and just like that, which is a spinoff of Sex and the City, a reboot of Sex and the City. Right now, Miranda is in a new relationship. She was married to Steve and everything was kind of complacent. And remember, Steve cheated on her. If you guys watch Sex and the City, and she lost her mind, she was like apoplectic, right? And now she's cheated on Steve with a woman. And well, a non-binary. Okay, I think Shay is non-binary. Shay was Sarah on Grey's Anatomy, or I don't know if she was Sarah. She had black hair and she was super hot and beautiful. But anyway, she's actually transitioned in real life and she's like non-binary or whatever and has different pronouns. Y'all, it's a lot. But the point is, in the series, Miranda has this really hot lesbian affair. I would assume it's lesbian affair because, again, I'm trying to figure out her binary pronouns. But she has an affair with this woman. And Shay likes open relationships, and Miranda has a very steady relationship. We're about to see how this plays out. I don't know. Miranda might get her feelings hurt. It is sometimes a risk to jump from one old thing to a new thing, but you want to do a few things here to make sure. Communication. That's my advice to you. If it's coochie chocolate, chocolate coochie, I don't know who you are, but choc I'm going to just call you that. You want to have communication. Listen, affairs happen and people dibble and dabble, and I am nobody's Prudence, which is so funny because people have thought that about me. I'm incredibly liberal and free about relationships within boundaries, but everything has to be decided upon with that partner. Now, of course, you're not going to go to your old person and be like, I got a new boo, what do I do? You're not going to do that, right? Because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You want to make sure. So what I would suggest first is that you properly vet that new boo. Sometimes you want to jump into bed with somebody and you might feel like, I just want to be around you and only you, and I don't give a damn about the rest of the world. When I get into that masculine energy, when I start to have feelings for somebody, it's intense, right? But I have learned to be mature about it and not just, okay, you redacted the message, but it's okay. You can put it back, girl. We're safe. I just saw the light pop on. But when I get into that kind of masculine energy and I'm after, like, if I'm attracted to someone, that's an energy, especially if it's a woman that I'm attracted to, that I can get into. But what I learned is that you have to properly vet someone and like really get to know them. What we kind of mess up, empaths, is we like jump into a relationship or into bed with somebody really quickly and we haven't understood them, and then we're taking on all this energy. If you're an empath here, choc, then I would definitely advise that you investigate the connection you have. Explore the connection that you have and do not get rid of the gold. If you have someone in your life, that year-long relationship that feels golden to you, don't abandon it. Don't abandon it for a new boo. Not immediately, because you don't know what they're going to bring you. And you don't know if they're worth the investment. I don't know how long this new sparkly boo has been dancing around in your life, but I would spend about 6 months at least understanding them and getting to know them right before you make any kind of transitions. You're allowed to still maintain your relationship. It's not dishonest. I have all kinds of relationships that are happening in my life, and it doesn't mean that I'm not treating people that have been solids, like I just spoke about for the last half an hour, right. It just means that I had to figure out how to balance it and respect it. What I just taught was literally that lesson, which is that my ethel is gold and I have some silver and it's beautiful. However, I had to realize how to treat both of them well and make sure that both of them had their individual time and both of them felt prioritized. Listen, that's another message. Not everybody is cut out for multiple relationships, okay? Not everybody is emotionally polyamorous, right? I can do that. I'm well balanced. I have known people that were atrocious at it. Some of the busybodies in my life that could never get it right if you paid them and gave them the handbook and literally walked them through it and gave them a paint by number catalog. They could not do it. If you are that person that knows that you cannot balance well having multiple emotional connections, and I advise that you make a choice, but take some time to make it. Right now is not the time. We're in Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde till the 29th of this month. Mercury retrograde goes on into February. So if you are wanting to vet the new somebody, take your time and really connect with them and communicate with them, but do not treat your old somebody bad. This is something that a lot of people do. And like I said, I counsel people through affairs every day, and I have no feelings about it. I am not the emotional or puritanical police. Affairs are things that happen. We outsource. We need other energies. People do it all the time for good and bad reasons. But I see it happen one of two ways, where someone starts to degrade and debase their spouse that has stuck by them for ancient of days, and then starts to treat the other person like they're so magical. You don't even know that other person yet. Choc, choc. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, like, vet. And there's no reason that you have to treat your spouse, the person that's been by your side, badly. I take personal umbrage to it because I've experienced it. Someone that got a new side piece started to act like I was crazy and I was disposable. And then they disposed of me and then I disposed of them. You get it? So I want you to be very careful with that, because I've seen people have affairs and the other person never knows. Both things are true. You can be in a new connection that edifies you and doesn't deplete your other connection. Now, some of us are not meant that to be built that way. We cannot split our personalities. We cannot split our energies. And so what it means is that you may have to make a choice. But before you do that, you need to vet the new choice and see, do you want to, kind of ingratiate them into your life? Do you want their energy? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel safe about it? That doesn't mean you abandon the other person. And I beg of you this, do not treat your old person, your gold, bad just because silver is sparkly and it's a new thing you wish you had. Be good to them. Be kind to them, because listen, it will come back to you karmically. You may be in a position where that's flipped one day and you could be on the other side of the gold energy. So do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I see comments coming through. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I'm a he. It's a gay relationship. Oh, girl. Okay. Well, thank you. All right. Thank you for the clarification. Let's see here, and I'll answer that way. He's been around for about 3 weeks. My partner has been around for over a year, and we've had our ups and downs, but I do think that there's something there. But there's just something about this new person. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Hold on 1 second, guys. I had to blow my nose. Sorry about that. All right. Sorry about that intermission, guys. I was getting stuffy there. Okay, so what I am... Okay, so it's a he. Well, here's the thing, too, that I've noticed with gay relationships with men is that there are all different kinds of rules. But again, communication matters. So with this new person, that's 3 weeks is super new. That's super new sparkly, okay? That's cubic zirconia sparkly. That's too new. And it doesn't mean it's too new and I'm saying you can't indulge and enjoy it. It means you need to vet. And I'm not wrong about that, especially now that you met him during a retrograde. Do not p-jack your old relationship for something that popped up in a Venus retrograde of all times. Take my foolish advice here. Definitely spend some time. I would give him half of a year. I would literally kind of spend some time around him. I'm not saying you don't have to do what you do personally and sexually. I'm not in your business. I'm not in your bed. That's none of my business. But what I'm saying is you want to make sure that this is just the new sparkle of a relationship. Someone that is a soulmate will really catch your eye. You know who has a great lesson on this? It's her channel's called Guides and Goals by Andula. So it's Guides and Goals EMPHALS by Ndula. And she is an Orisha, essentially. And she has a pretty viral video where she talks about third parties and why third parties come into our life spiritually to teach us new lessons. She really helped me to release my own situation where I was struggling with someone who had their new come in and they started treating me like trash and I didn't deserve it and it wasn't warranted and I didn't understand it until I watched her video that that person had to go have those lessons with that person and that I had a new person too. It just worked out perfectly, but I didn't understand it. I was struggling with it until I watched that video. So I would highly recommend anybody in a third party situation go and watch that. I'm going to see if I can actually find it. I always say I'm going to link it, y'all, but you know I live my life, but I will see if I can even link it below. But Guides and Goals by Ndula, and she talks about third parties, why the third party really happens, and she really like draws it out on a whiteboard, and it's beautiful. So what you needed was some new energy in your life because we don't manifest that unless it's supposed to be. Now what you're talking about sounds like a little soulmated kismet connection, and when someone comes in our life they can like just blow that open and take care of it. I would talk to this guy and I would indulge yourself in it. Do never deny yourself those kind of indulgences as long as you can manage it. Okay, if you start to treat your old partner like he's a piece just because someone new and shiny is there, that's karma that you will pay. So my advice to you is balance your emotions. You can still flirt. You can still have this kind of connection and energy within warrant. And again, I'm not going to give you specifics of what that connection should be. I'm just imagining you're flirting a lot, okay? But it doesn't mean that you diminish the capacity that your old partner has served, ups and downs included, okay? Because until about at least 3 months, even if you can't give yourself 6, at least 3 months in, you're not going to know a little bit about this person. And you know what's so interesting is I've had other situations in my life where I was like totally infatuated with someone, and then as the years went on, the infatuation dissipated. And I realized that if I would have jumped into bed with them when I felt like I needed to or wanted to, that I would have been bored with them later, or they wouldn't have been a right fit for me, or. This has happened several times in my life. So that's something else too, regarding why it's wise to kind of really vet someone and wait and see how you feel. Because I thought, God, if I would have got what I wanted when I was quote unquote hunting, right? When I was hungry for the person, when I thought like, oh my God, like I fuck the shit out of this person. When I was in that space, I would have found myself like enmeshed in a situation that might have got crazy or weird. And instead I ended up probably with like a really great friendship or whatever the case may be. Like, and then I wasn't as hungry at later. Does that make sense? And that happens because I gave myself time to really feel out how I felt about that person and see how they really felt about me. And in some cases I ended up with like really great friendships, and I was glad that I put down my carnality and my carnivorous, like I just want to devour this person, and I like let that subside and I let it turn into something really beautiful instead. So I'm not saying that that's your situation. You may want to devour the person, but I realize that there's a reason that we kind of wait a while to see how we feel, especially if you're an intuitive and an empath, because sometimes soulmates will be brought into our life, or twin flames, or whatever you want to call them. I hate the twin flame thing now, but sometimes people will be brought into our life and there will be an immediate sexual attraction. And both of you will feel it. One of you could deny it, whatever. But the situation is, or the thing about it is that they are brought into our life to make us pay attention. And the way that humans pay attention is through sexuality. So I would ask yourself this: what lesson is this new person here to teach you? That's usually how I diffuse my attraction and my like hunger and my horniness for somebody. If I realize like I'm attracted to you, you're obviously like sent in, there's an intersection. This is when our Akashic records open and someone's literally sent in to teach us a lesson. The hungrier you are for them, the bigger the lesson. And if you can stave off satiating that carnal hunger, you'll probably get to the beautiful part of the lesson instead of it turning into a dumpster fire. And that's a lesson taught by Sonia Choquette. That is not my teaching. She taught me that you'll be sexually attracted to soulmates and twin flames and stuff like that, and that you will want to attack them because that's how our angels get us to pay attention. Like, here's a lesson, because we're all very primal and low vibrational and sexual. So our angels will allow us to feel that. And it depends on what road we walk down. It also reminds me of Sylvia Brown, who was a psychic. And she talked about her guides. She had a guide specifically that she worked with that she named, but there was an intersection at her first Saturn return, which is about 29 or something, where a guy came into her life and she talked about being at a party, seeing him walk in and immediately just being attracted to him and knowing it. Love at first sight. We all have experienced it at some point in our life. And she talks about going upstairs and being in the mirror, brushing her hair because she was trying to primp for him when she saw him come into the party, and that her guide came through in that moment and was like, don't do it, this is going to be a rock and roll disaster in your life. And she was like, I'm going to do it, right? Like, they were having a conversation. So she's having a conversation with her angel and her guide, she called it. And her angel was like, listen, this is going to like tear your life up. This guy is a hot mess. It's going to be a whole situation. And Sylvia was like, that's cool. Thanks for the advice. Back downstairs she went. And then she got into this rollicking affair of her life. It also makes me think of Elizabeth Taylor. I have Elizabeth Taylor and Audrey Hepburn on my nails right now. And last week it was Marilyn Monroe. But this week it's Elizabeth Taylor and Audrey Hepburn. And Elizabeth Taylor had a really tumultuous relationship that I studied a lot. Is his name Richard? With some guy in her life that they broke up and got back together. Sometimes soulmates come in it's crazy passion like that. And our angels will be like, stay away from them, or we have a breakup, or they push us away from it. And then we go back to it because we have lessons to learn. So that is the big takeaway. I'm like talking through this here with you, but the two big takeaways is vet them and then ask what the lesson is. As soon as you feel that kind of attraction for someone, vet them, and then I might make a separate video. That's a great question. Vet them and then ask what the lesson is. Soulmate attraction is a real thing, and it happens all the time. And they may just really be your best friend, and that's all they're supposed to be. And God will bring you back in somebody that you can really explore that sexuality with, that is not supposed to be in your life forever. But sometimes your soulmate is, or your best friend is, or whatever the case may be. I don't know that this person is your best friend. Even as I'm doing an intuitive read for you on it, I feel like this is a powerful lesson. That's who I feel like this new guy is. It's a powerful lesson. I see some more questions coming in. Hold on one second. What drove me to this is okay. What drove me to this person because I felt a bit of dissatisfaction with my partner. Sigh. Ooh, this is such a good conversation. I felt a bit of dissatisfaction with my partner. Sigh. It's a lot. I'm not a polyamorous person. I'm a very possessive Leo. Well, sir, I relate. I am also a very possessive Leo, which is hilarious. And I am not a polyamorous person. I am able emotionally to have multiplicity of friends and all the rest of it, but I am territorial in each one of those connections. You're my person. Unless I see them dibble and dab out. As I talked about my Ethel had a person named Cheryl that she kind of outsourced to, and it did change the way our relationship existed in that moment, because I realized, like, well, your loyalty to me is no longer what I thought it was, and then I did what I wanted to do as well. And I knew that lesson wasn't going to go well. That Cheryl person in her life was a lesson, and it was a lesson, and it wasn't a great one, but it was a beautiful one, and I knew it was going to end the way it ended, but I had to step aside. We all have people that will come in to wake us up to a new thing and to teach us something about ourselves. I could not have taught my Ethel the lesson that Cheryl taught her, because I would have never treated her the way Cheryl treated her. I valued my Ethel. Cheryl did not value my Ethel, and I knew that right away. But I could not be possessive in the way I wanted to play. You know how we are as Leos. And I was like, I'll just have to step aside. Sometimes that happens in various ways, and I've had it happen. So I think this is really important. Dissatisfaction with my partner. Thank you for your advice. I really needed this. I felt bad for a while doing this. It's not easy looking after a sick partner. No, it's not. Oh my gosh. And now that you really parse out what your situation is, I counsel people that have affairs while they have partners that are sick. And I want to be the first to say this. I don't give a damn what anybody says. There is nothing wrong with you needing to get your needs met. But I do not want you to abuse or abandon your partner unless you are truly in your soul guided to do so. Your angels will send you in a bit of spice and pizzazz. It's one of my favorite things. Betty White and I have been chatting about it a lot lately, pizzazz. And if you can't organically have that happen, then the angels will send that in for you organically. I think that your side boo here could be an alleviation of the pressure and a release for you to feel wanted and desired and to feel the beauty again, because we don't abandon our partners who are sick. And right now I am the sick partner in my marriage. I have been going through a whole thing. As you guys know, I have somewhat documented here. When I'm 100%, I promise you I will share in full the whole thing. But what I will tell you is, I have thought about that. This is fascinating. I'm so loving this conversation. I'm so grateful that you showed up this morning because I have said to my husband, listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but if I don't feel like I'm up to par and I can provide for you what you need, let's talk about what outsourcing looks like for you. Do I want my husband to quote unquote cheat? No, as a possessive Leo, I don't. But I think anything is permissible under conversation and agreement. Now, fortunately, my husband is a Capricorn and he's incredibly focused and loyal in his own way. And he has been incredibly patient and wonderful. But I have thought, God forbid that I don't recover it fully the way I want to. Should he be deprived of getting whatever his needs are that are met? Y'all still meet his needs, y'all. I'm still me. But should he be deprived of that over long term? This is a real conversation I have with him on a regular basis. When I thought I was going to pass away last year, I texted his brother and told him what his type was because I am an open partner. That's why it's been so funny to me with the people I've dated that they couldn't be honest with me. Like, I'm super free. Like, I get it. We all have other desires. And so I know what his type is. And I said, if I were to pass away, I would manifest that from him for the other side. I told his brother this is his second type, and y'all are going to have a whole multi-ethnical situation in your life. He'll have black, he'll have Spanish. It'll be amazing. I said, think of the book reports your kids will write from all of Uncle Dale's wives. But what I will say here is that I am realistic about the fact that if you are taking care of a sick partner, you may not have all of your needs met. And while I can make sure to ensure to meet some of my husband's needs, if I don't recover fully, that's something I had to think about because I want him to be happy. I want you to be happy, Choc. I want you to be happy, Mr. Choc a chocolate. And your angels want you to as well. And this is what is nuanced and missed in Christianity. You are allowed to outsource as long as you do it with dignity, as long as you do it with respect, as long as you're not doing it to hurt your partner. That's where I get vexed when I'm counseling people that are being vindictive. That's a nasty energy to traffic in, and it will come back to you tenfold karmically. I do not advise it. But if someone's raising your vibration, raising your kundalini energy, raising that sacral chakra energy, making you feel loved, sexy, and seen, that is a gift from your angels. That is not necessarily something that is negative. Do not feel guilty. I don't care who disagrees with this. Do not feel guilty because it would not have been sent to you. You manifested it. The dissatisfaction you've been feeling there's a weariness that comes with caretaking for anybody, whether it's an Alzheimer's parent or your special somebody. Even with my husband, I've had to acknowledge honestly that this is not fair. And I've cried to him and said, I'm sorry, husband. I'm sorry that I'm not fully here. I'm sorry that I'm in pain in this way. I'm sorry that you have to see me this way. It has been such a test of our marriage, but I have been acknowledging with him and triaging with him and emotionally checking in to make sure that he is okay. And if he needs something, I'm going to make sure that either I get it for it or I pay, but I will make sure that he's okay. And he's not treating me in a bad way. His care is impeccable, better than nurses. What I will tell you is that you deserve care too. Someone will be sent in to take care of your heart for you. When I was going through an emotional breakup with somebody, God sent in a sweet angel for me that was beautiful. And it was every single thing I need. And that person healed me in ways that I couldn't even articulate in alive or fully, not to them, not to anybody, because it was sent to me. It was a delicious, magical person that was sent to me that absolutely loved me and healed me and kind of blew life back into me just by being consistently there. And I didn't question it. I didn't understand the relationship when it initially began many years ago. But as I got into the thick of a really dark night of the soul, I was like, oh, you guys put her in place just for this moment, for no other reason than to kind of emotionally help me. And I helped her too. It was reciprocal, but it was a new boo, if you will. And I had to realize that it was sent there as like a gift from the universe. And I felt no guilt about indulging in it because I understood exactly what it was. For you, you needed some sacral chakra energy, which is associated with the color orange, which is about our sexuality. Also, your root chakra is out of alignment too, Mr. Choc, they say, meaning you don't feel grounded because you are holding down the fort financially, energetically, and emotionally is what I'm hearing. And it is depleting. So they sent you in a little kiss from a rose, okay? A little kiss from a rose. And I feel like this is good. I don't feel bad about it, but I want you to be a good steward of it. Sometimes you will get a little delicious piece of magic, right? I have a friend that calls it a certain thing. Maybe a slice of pie, a slice of cake, whatever. You get something, right? And God's sending that to you because they see that your dissatisfaction is deep and that you're unhappy, and your angels want you to be happy. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Here's how I decide if someone's a bad person. If they're having an affair, they're outsourcing. How do they treat the partner they're with? Unless that partner's like cruel and abusive, okay? You don't have to be good to a cruel and abusive partner, but if your partner is genuinely trying and they're actually a good human, then manage it well. You don't have to like rub it in their face. That's when you have hell happen in your life. Don't be that person. Okay? You can have feelings for multiple people, and you will. In a marriage, you don't think that you have feelings for other people, or you don't think that other people is attractive. I have watched my husband flirt with other people, and other people be appalled and gasp and like, hold their chest. He has his type. I get it. It doesn't mean that our partnership doesn't work in the way that it works. And like I said, he knows my type. He gets it. Doesn't mean that our partnership doesn't work, but there's a respect in it. Does that make sense? I'm fortunate to live in that. Like, I couldn't imagine being married to anybody else, regarding the fact that he gets me and it makes room for me and my sexuality, and isn't threatened by it, because I gave him respect in it and I communicate. You don't necessarily have to go to the partner that you're caretaking for, Mr.Choc, and say, I'm going to outsource and have a little dalliance. But if you have the dalliance, make sure that your partner's taken care of, and that you have the emotional bandwidth to take care of whatever's happening with you and the new person. Be kind to both and be respectful of both. But also, you need to vet this new one a little bit more. It's too new at 3 weeks. Let me see what else you say here. I really am trying to be faithful, LOL. Where I'm from, a partner with HIV is a big stigma. Okay, hold on 1 second. I gotta rotate the device. A partner with HIV is a big stigma, but I decided to stay and be there for him. But sometimes I feel I made a mistake. You're a godsend and a goddess. This is in our country, in our world. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can get this to go back. All right. In our country and in our world, a partner with HIV is a stigma, period. I remember, and the band played in the 80s and 90s, and Ryan, and that kid that we saw on Oprah. It's a stigma for everybody. Even saying the word HIV can be a trigger to people. But what we know now is that with the right medication, that people can live a life into their 70s and 80s just like anybody else. At first, it was a death sentence when we watched everybody pass away. That also had to do with the collective consciousness. So I want to teach about that real quickly. The collective consciousness, and Dr. Sebi has like work, and the government didn't want it out. And there's conspiracy theories about Dr. Sebi if you're familiar with him. But Dr. Sebi talked about curing people with HIV. Also, Louise Hay talked about curing people with HIV through thought forms. Louise Hay is a metaphysical practitioner who has since passed away, but started a publishing company, Hay House, if you're familiar with it. And she used to be huge, and she always was, with with all of the gays, with the kids, I was going to say, with the Rainbow Coalition. They would come and sit and do workshops with her, and you could find videos of this. And the thought form of being gay is that I am dirty, I'm bad, because it's been so stigmatized in our country and in our world, right? Even though it's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of centuries. Please go watch any video, right? But here's the thing. So what that meant is that was internalized. And in the 70s and 60s, it was all free love and whatever. And there was also STDs. But in the 80s, that thought form got incredibly corrosive. I don't deserve to be here. And so it was this thought form in the collective consciousness that gays are bad and everything else, and it's the devil and everything else, because of the Christianity and the puritanical society we come from. And what Louise taught about is that because you thought this about yourself, you then attracted something energetically that now puts you at a disadvantage where your life is threatened. And because it was such a pervasive and corrosive thought form in the 80s, people were dropping dead immediately, or within weeks, months, and within a year or two of contracting HIV, before it developed into full-blown AIDS. And when we changed the thought form and decided, you people deserve to exist in society, you are not dirty, you are not bad, this is part of just who you are, it is your identity, you couldn't change it if you wanted to, then we realized that medicine was created, the thought form and the collective consciousness of society shifted, and now people can live into their 80s and 90s and live a full life with their cocktail, of course. You know what the cocktail is if you're taking care of a partner that's sick, with their cocktail, and they could live. Now, what I'm saying to you is your situation is incredibly complicated and nuanced, right? And you and I probably would need to do a personal reading. But I think it's a teaching lesson that you jumped on here this morning, because someone's going to watch this. It's in your exact same situation someday and be like, oh my God, these were the answers that I wanted. Now, there's a higher level of responsibility that you have, because if you are living with a partner with HIV, and if you are still sleeping with your partner with HIV, then communication, what my angels advise me to say to you, is paramount, right? You need to be communicating and be clear with your other partner and have an emotional responsibility. If this is a flirtation that you want to dabble in, then dabble in the flirtation, but you know that there's a higher level of responsibility that you have here, and that those are facts, you know? Goddess or God, whether you want to take that back or not, I have to be a responsible practitioner and say that to you. That is with any STD or any situation, right? So I'm not saying you have to fully disclose your behavior or your and when I say your behavior, your feelings or your emotions or the fullness of your situation. And that's why my angels, before I even knew what the situation was, told me properly vet 6 months. I really want you to see if this guy is worth that, because you don't want to tell anybody all your business if you don't have to. If you want to enjoy this person's flirtation with you, if you like the attention he's giving you, God bless. I sanction it. God and your angels sanction it, or he wouldn't have come into your life. That has nothing to do with me. But what I'm saying is there is a responsibility that you will have to take there. And that's why they're saying enjoy the energy, enjoy the feelings, but be very careful, because you now have a much more complicated situation that you're not trying to pass on to anybody. Insofar as if you made a mistake, I want to promise you that it's not ever a mistake to love someone, because sick people need love too. I am not HIV positive, but I am sick this past year in a way that came on, and it was crazy and it was life threatening. And I had multiple surgeries in a short amount of time, like 5, and it's been like 4 months or something. It was crazy. And my husband had to stick by my side. So I experienced a level of sickness I've never had in my life, and that I never even thought I would deal with. And I still have one more surgery to go before I'm fully done. And I didn't want my husband to abandon me, and I still wanted him to have fun. So I get that part, right? But what I will say for you is there is a higher level of responsibility regarding the HIV. And what I love about you disclosing that is that this was meant to happen. Your angels allowed you to speak that out, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm giving you a huge freaking big hug, because what you're doing is showing someone love. Everybody's cancer patients, AIDS patients, people that have lupus, people that have bloodborne illnesses of any kind deserve to not be abandoned. We are humans. We all need love. I remember reading some poetry and some erotica that I was reading years ago, and it was about a woman depicting her love for her man who was HIV positive, and she talked about the sinew on his back and the muscles, and the way that she loved him, and looking at him in the morning light. And she said, everybody thinks I'm not right. And this was written in the 90s when it was still highly stigmatized. And she says, but I love him. How is this wrong? You stick by someone's side when you love them, no matter what they're dealing with, whether they're having gastric bypass. That was not my situation this year, for those of you that may ask. I had one of my subscribers ask me, girl, did you get the lap band? I'm like, no. Girl, I wish it was as simple as that. No, Jesus took me through a whole nother situation. It had nothing to do with lap bands or gastric bypass. But people stick by people's side as they're going through recovery and injury, right? And you'll want someone to stick by your side. If you broke your foot, God forbid, or anything like that, I don't know that you made the wrong decision. I feel like loving someone that you love is never wrong, but you and I need to do a reading. Real talk. Reach out to me. You can find my email at mbnnatta at yahoo.com, mbnatta at yahoo.com. I have a website, Evolving with Monette. Go check it out. Send me a message, or say, I want to get a reading with you, and we'll figure out a way to connect, because me and you need to do this more personally. But I'm proud of you for offering to the collective this energy, because you just helped someone else, and you just assured someone else that they're not wrong. And we were able to do some beautiful work this morning, and I'm so grateful for you, like so incredibly grateful for you. He says, my partner is a good guy despite his flaws, LOL. I have asked him about an open relationship, but he said no, LOL. Yeah, sometimes we're territorial. I'm from I'm from West Africa for more context. Oh, hey, from Africa. That's so awesome. The motherland. We only had sex after his viral load became undetectable. I feel a lot of things about the situation: anger, exhaustion, resentment. It's been a lot, and my partner never really wants to talk. Mr. Choc, Mr. Chocolate, I am so here for you, and I'm so here for this conversation. I hope that one day we can do a reading. I'm not pushing you to do a reading. I'm not a solicitor that way. God sends me every bit of clientele and money that I need, but you and I need to connect personally. That's what I'm feeling. And I'm being guided to say that by my angels. However, I am not opposed to having this conversation right here because you're brave enough to do it. And so I'm here for it. There's a reason my angels asked me to pop on this morning and do this work. I really trust my guidance from them. Of course, your partner doesn't want an open relationship because you're a godsend. You're a godsend. You're a god. You're a goddess. You're all of those energies. Pardon me. One moment. Let me blow my nose again. And he's jealous and he loves you and he's afraid he's going to lose you. And he's also dealing with the fears of who's going to love him. Thank you. Yes, definitely reach out to me. He's also dealing with the fears of who's going to love him. And he's like worried that he's going to be abandoned and all of the fears that happen when you get sick. I didn't have those fears. I am preemptive, and I said to my husband, I will help you co-create what your next situation is if I'm not able to fulfill this mission. My doctors told me I was going to die last year, so I started to prepare my husband for that. I was like, listen, I'm gonna be on the other side, being all up in your business, and I like Spanish girls too, so I'm gonna bring you a Spanish boo. Like, I love my husband, and so I was able to freely laugh about it with him and help him co-create his next level should I not be here to be great. I wanted him to have all of his delights and taste and everything, just like he likes for me to notice any redhead because he knows that's what I like. I love him for that. I adore him for that. But what I will say to you is that your partner does not want to lose you, and nobody wants to be abandoned when they're sick. I didn't necessarily want my husband to leave me because I was sick, but I was being very realistic about the fact that he's still a young man, and essentially he's older than me, but he's still young, and that he needs to have his somebody if I'm not going to be able to fulfill my wifely quote unquote duties in whatever capacity, even if that just meant that I was in the hospital for months. It was crazy. So I definitely wanted him to have whatever he needed if I wasn't going to be here. Now, for your case, what I feel is that your partner doesn't want to be abandoned, and you're obviously an awesome dude. You're an empath and you're healing him, but you deserve to have love too, in whatever capacity that is. I am proud of you too for being brave enough to ask him about an open relationship and to do the thing, which is communicate, which is all I ever ask, is communicate, because that is really what is needed, is communication. And sometimes your partners won't agree with it. There are things that I've talked to my partner about that he was on board with when we first got together, that he is not on board with as our relationship evolved and as we got married. Things change, people change, and they're allowed to change. You're allowed to honor that, right? But for you, thank you. I'm so relieved. I feel like crying. It's been a way. Oh, cry. That's what I'm here for, to transmute the energy. I love this so much. This is exactly why I exist on this world. It's amazing to know what your calling is, and I finally know it. And it's to do this with you, to hug you from all the way over in Florida to West Africa. I am hugging you, and my hugs are really, really good. And I only give them to people that I feel safe to allow in, and I feel safe to allow you in, and I love you. You are loved, and what you're thinking about is not a sin to want to outsource your happiness. But I will make sure that you do it with responsibility. I would not be a proper practitioner if I did not say that to you. You do it responsibly. Let this guy flirt with you. Feel away. Feel all those butterflies. You deserve them too. And don't abandon your partner at this point. Of course, when you and I connect personally, we'll really take a read and take a look at your relationship and dissect it. This is one of my favorite things to do. And I don't give a damn about his status. I'm going to look at your relationship. I'm not going to make you stay there on a guilt trip if you're not supposed to be there. That's one thing I tell all my clients, is I'm going to tell you the truth. Whether you should or shouldn't be there, I'm going to say the truth to you. Well, shit, it's not me. My angels are going to say the truth to you. Okay? Because what do I know? We don't know each other. We're strangers. But my angels are nosy, and they will definitely let you know if you are in danger emotionally. Obviously, you did the responsible thing and waited to have sex with him until the viral load was undetectable. And that's what I mean by someone having a full life. And I hope you even took precautions in that, because life is life. But again, I'm going to stay out of your business in your bed, homie. But what I will do is say, handle this new connection with responsibility. Okay? I want you to wait to see how you feel about him. The example that I gave was not for no reason, where I said there's been someone that I had in my life that I was like, if I don't push you against a fucking wall and have you right now, I don't know what. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And then I realized, like, oh, this is what our relationship was supposed to be. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be sexuality, no matter how hungry I was. God will sometimes bring someone in that will show you love. And it's not just supposed to be just all sexy time and hot sweatiness and whatever. And then sometimes it is, okay? So you just never know what endeavor you will be on. But you are allowed to be free. Release the tears if the tears are there. Choc says, I always try to communicate. He, however, became a bit closed off when we got the diagnosis. It's been a lot. Of course he did. And this is so complicated because of course he became closed off. Everything in his life shifted. He had to deal with those fears because as a gay person, period, those fears are there. And as a gay man specifically, like I talked about with uh uh Louise Hay's group that she did with all of those gay men, that is like the beating thing. I'm bad. This is a sin. I'm going to be punished. And that's a vibration that attracts various experiences to us in various ways. I'll leave that there. I'm not saying just HIV. And so he had those fears, I promise you. And he thought, no, this will never be me. As anybody that gets diagnosed with HIV thinks. And then he was like, oh my God, it is me. What does that say about me? Did I deserve this? Is that crazy indoctrination and Christianity dogma true? He's going through a litany of emotions when he gets this diagnosis, let alone having to share it with you because he loves you and he didn't want to lose you. And then Choc says, yes, we did take the precautions. Thank you. I was like, girl, you better. Okay, don't be on this chair. I'm going to make sure you take the precautions, sir. And so that's what I want you to understand is that you are absolutely allowed to be with this man, but you have to be with this man if the relationship is right for you. HIV or not, if this is not your right boo, when we take a look, personally, we'll figure that out. But what I will tell you is don't you feel guilty if it's not. And if it is, then you stick and stay and you be by his side. It is a lot. And it's a Herculean effort. People have left people for less, okay? Someone I was watching recently in the news left someone because they were tired of being in the COVID bubble. Someone had COVID and then they left their partner because they were like, isolation's too much. People are people. And sometimes they're terrible and atrocious and sometimes they're wonderful. So I don't want you to think that you deserve anything unless the relationship is edifying you. And listen, a relationship that's lacking communication that you clearly crave is lacking something that's edifying you. So right away, we have some things to dissect there. Let me see what else he say here. Sometimes I tried to leave him, but he always refused. Huh. 1 second, I got a little bit of this again. Sorry, guys. Okay, so you said sometimes you have to leave him, but he always refused. Well, we would have to talk about in depth what that means, you leaving him, meaning like, did you just say, I'm out of here? Were you breaking up with him on the merit of the relationship or was it the weight of the diagnosis? That's my question. And maybe it's one you can answer here if you're still here. Because like sometimes we're not compatible with people. Like that's what I'm trying to factor in. I don't want you to be guilt tripped into being with a person because of anything. And that's something I was really purposeful to convey with my husband. But my husband and I have been together for umpteen years. Like we've been together a long, long time. So I knew that he wasn't just with me and staying with me out of guilt or anything like that. He made his commitments and that's that. We got what we got. That's our kind of like joke between us. So, for you have to decide. It's only been a year and a half. That's still a new relationship, okay? And this is a heavy thing to get into in a new relationship. And I don't want you to feel guilt about having apprehension about being involved in it, okay? I don't want you to have guilt. He didn't trick you. I have worked with clientele that have been tricked by their boyfriends that told them after they were married that they were positive. So I've had all kinds of situations like this. And in those cases, I'm vitriolic because they were not responsible and they were trapping somebody. If that was not your situation and this was organic and it just happened, then it's still heavy. It doesn't matter. Potato, potato. Either way you slice it, this is heavy AF. And you're allowed to feel overwhelmed. And I'm so glad that we connected today. And I know that we will connect in the future. I will it as so, and so it will be. But do not feel at all bad because you feel heavy and because it's overwhelming. And it is natural for a partner to shut down when they have any sickness. There are times where I pushed my husband away and I didn't want him around me or want him there. I cussed everybody around me out and I was in despair because when you are dealing with all of your energy and being on death's door, you don't have time for more. You jettison away all the things that are superfluous. And so I think that he may shut down because he's in distress himself. I would love to do a single reading with you, and I'd love to do a couple reading with you. I do couple readings as well, where you both are on the phone and we can take a look at what's going on in the relationship, because I just happen to be really good at that. I happen to be good at triaging relationships. But man, what a beautiful connection we've made this morning, and I'm so proud of you. I'm impressed by you, and do not think that you are in this by yourself, and that you are having to stay anywhere that is not good for your emotional health. And that's something we can triage together personally again. But as so far as your new boo, take time to vet him, take time to know him, take time to see if this is just a little sweet piece of something that is given to you by your angels to raise your vibration, to give you more strength to keep going forward. Clarify. Choc says it felt like it was all too much. The diagnosis, the lack of sex, intimacy, everything felt off. Why me? That's a beautiful question as well. I really believe that we come into life and we choose like various things. And I know you would say, I would never have chose this. I would never have chose this, Mona. I get it. I totally get it. I would not have chose what I went through last year either. I didn't choose it. It was freaking random and it was weird. But what I will tell you is there is some lesson here, just like the new person that came in. What's the lesson? So what the lesson is what are your questions about sexuality and intimacy? When have you ever felt deprived of that in any other way prior to this relationship? Have you ever been in celibate droughts or droughts, period? Did you, and why would you get into this relationship? What is this teaching you? Well, one of the things it's teaching you is about loyalty, right? That Leo loyalty. Sometimes that Leo loyalty will bite us in the ass. I left a busybody. You know how I started out this talk this morning? I left a busybody in my life who I was loyal to, who was never loyal to me. She was wild and trifling AF. And she disappointed me all the time. And I was just like, you stick by their side, you stick by their side. And I really wish I would have left that relationship years ago, but I couldn't leave until I learned the lesson that I needed to know. And when I left, I had learned every lesson. I was like, you'll never teach me another one. Thank you so much and good night. But what I will tell you is, that I stuck by her side out of a warped sense of my Leo loyalty. And since you're a Leo too, I'm speaking directly to you. Don't let that loyalty get you caught up. You do not owe this person a life sentence if he is not a good partner. That's all I care about. In other ways, is he a good partner? I get the lack of sex until the viral load was undetected. There were actual legitimate reasons that you had to take those precautions, and that will happen. But if he is in other ways not meeting your emotional needs, then I don't give a damn about HIV. You don't have to stay there. And that's real talk, okay? If he is not a good, healthy partner for you, fuck whatever else is going on with him. It doesn't mean dispose of him. It doesn't mean that you treat him badly. It doesn't mean abandon him. But it does mean that you have to take a look at what works for you. You are my client. You are my person I'm talking to. You are who I care about. You know, I get real big mama energy for the people I work with. So I don't give a damn about what else is going on and who else is affecting. I care about him as a human and as an empath. And I understand what he's dealing with and that he's down bad. And I get that he's worrying about abandonment, etc., etc. But what I worry about is your emotional health. And are you thugging out something and sticking it out with somebody that is not fulfilling some of your energetic needs? And if I'm feeling this kind of way and I'm speaking to you loudly, I know that there's something missing. Let's see what else you said. You said, no, he didn't trick me. I forced him to go to the hospital when he was feeling ill. And I'm the one who made all the secret appointments and got him on the meds. Whew, he really froze. We were 1 month into the relationship when we found out. Honeymoon cut short. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm so stuffy this way. Bear with me, guys. Wow. Honeymoon cut short. I'm going to change the title of this. I'm going to add in that this conversation happened for those that came on thinking it was just going to be an early morning chat so that I can prepare people for what's going on here, the gravity of this, because this is powerful. It's powerful, and I'm honored, man. I'm so grateful that you're here. My heart breaks for you. Not because what you're going through is just the worst thing in the world. It's not. But because I hear you when you say, why me? What a hell of a thing to get into. I'm glad he didn't trick you, which means that there's integrity. And obviously, here's what you need to know, Choc, and my angels are telling me, is that you're an earth angel that was sent into his life to save it. so that he could prolong his life, so that he could go forward. They said you stuck by him specifically out of integrity because you promised yourself you would never be that person that would abandon somebody because you thought if it was me, I wouldn't want to be abandoned. God sees your heart and he honors you in that. He knows that you didn't leave him specifically out of your own concerns about knowing that if it was me, would someone do that to me? He knows that you've stuck it out. And he says that some of your worst fears have come true, not because of the HIV, but because of the fact that you know that you feel like you can't leave, because you do love him, and because you feel like you'd be a bad person. They're specifically taking me back to vetting. They said, this is why we want you to vet. 1 month into the relationship, the news that you didn't get changed your life forever. And now you have a new relationship that's on the horizon. And they said, get to know him better. This isn't about HIV, right? Because in the grand scheme of life, the worst thing that could happen has already happened. So that's not going to happen again. It's a statistical anomaly. You're not going to meet another partner that's going through that. Sorry. Yeah, he said statistical anomaly. That's what I heard my angel say. A statistical anomaly. You will not meet another person and another partner that's going through that. What they're saying to me is that, but this is what you're going through now. They said you didn't abandon him literally out of that Leo loyalty. And it wasn't about you being so in love, but it was about you being a good fucking person. I'm so proud of you. But even in saying that, that doesn't mean that you owe yourself any life sentence if a relationship doesn't edify you. Being sick turns us into the worst version of ourselves. I feel highly qualified to talk about this now, having gone through what I have. Not having my meds when I need them has turned me into an ogre at times, to nurses and to husbands and to friends that were mighty fine, that have only been there to help me and love me. I didn't like what pain turned me into. I didn't like what my circumstances devolved me into, but my angels wanted me to see and have this experience so that I could talk to somebody like you and other people. I know from the inside what losing your life feels like, what feeling like everything you built is slipping away. So I empathize with your partner. I really do. And I know that it makes you shut down and it makes you not as communicative. It was everything I could do in this last year to continue my work, to be there for people, to counsel people, because I was so hurt. But I did it. And I did it out of the strength of God. I don't even know how I did. I don't know how I showed up. I read for people from my hospital bed for months. What I will tell you is that when you're in a life-threatening situation, you are not a great partner. And so while I empathize with you, Mr.Choc, and you're my priority today, I am getting a wave of emotion about your partner and all of his fears right now. And his fears of you going away. I get it. I'm not trying to guilt you, but I told you I'm fair. I'm fair and balanced in that way. Fair trade. That's the hashtag that will be on this, or it might be on this title. Now I don't even remember what I put up yet. Is your happiness for the rest of your life a fair trade to know that you are a Leo that showed up with loyalty? I don't know the answer to that, but it's a rhetorical question that you'll have to think about in your heart and make a decision of. Claire, I'm seeing here. Hold on 1 second. I had to wipe my eyes so I could read what you said. Give me a second here, guys. Can't tell you how grateful I am you showed up. Wow, you showed up. It says, Natalie Ray says, God bless you. Choc says, oh, he retreated into his work afterwards. Something just felt off. I'm ready to spill all the tea. I need to talk. Now I'm crying too. The relationship showed so much promise. Early stages. Phew. But he seems happy and open when his friends are around. He just doesn't seem happy with me. Well, girl, sir, boy, whatever, excuse my pronoun misplacement. I said the girl is out of a sisterhood. um, um, mm, oh, whew, this one. Oh, this morning. mm, pardon me. I'm so sorry. I am struggling here with all of my tears and everything's happening. Um, I don't like that. Okay, so now protective energy, big sister, big cousin, sis comes back out. I don't like that. He's happy around his friends, but not with you. You're the person that stuck by his side. You shouldn't be receiving punishment from this. He hasn't been able to tell his family and his friends. So sad. And that's fine. It's not everybody's business because people are assholes. Like, real talk. It is what it is. People are, no, everybody doesn't need to know his business. But what I don't like is that you're the person that's by his side. And, it's funny. We only hurt the ones we love, and we treat the ones that are by our sides badly at times. But you do not deserve to have his bad treatment, and you don't deserve to be miserable and unhappy either. He comes from a very conservative Muslim family. Do they know that he's gay? Is he open? Is he out of the closet? You don't deserve to be unhappy. While you answer that question, you don't deserve to be unhappy. Okay? And if he comes from a conservative Muslim family, they're not going to respond well to him having HIV. And in fact, they may shun him and say, this is your punishment, because that's what Allah, from their belief, from the Quran, says, right? We all have our own spiritual indoctrination, Christianity, Muslim, Islam, whatever. And I know in Islam, this is heavily frowned upon. And yeah, here's the deal. You and I need to talk. You and I need to talk. But what I will tell you is, if you're not happy in a relationship, then you don't stay there. But doesn't mean you jump into another one. I'm not advising that. In fact, the more we talk, I'm ill-advising you jumping into the next relationship. Enjoy the flirtation, enjoy the beautiful, delicious energy of it, but do not jump into something else. Sometimes we'll want to escape out of something. When stuff is hard, we'll want to escape. I want you to do the integral thing, the Leo thing, Mr. Choc, and really parse this out. I'm not going to have you stay in something for an exorbitant amount of time that is going to drain you and deplete you, and then you're just going to be full of resentment, because that's the way that I see this headed. If you stay with someone that's not really making you happy. He closed down and retreated into work. I also relate. Okay, so in that way, I get it. I'm a bit of a workaholic when it comes to my work, and that's just in a good day. That's not even a bad day, but I really did retreat into work in other ways too. So these are all coping mechanisms. And again, these are things that we would personally have to go through, just me and you. But what I will tell you is, he says, he's not out of the closet. Okay. Yeah. So that's another question you have to ask yourself. HIV or not, do you want to live your life with somebody who's in the closet? Because I imagine that you are out of the closet and able to be free and able to say what you want to say and be freely part of the LGBTQIA. I don't know what the culture and climate is there in West Africa regarding that. I know in America, even though people are still hateful, it's absolutely pretty normalized here. It's amazing. As a woman that thought that I would live closeted for the rest of my life and never be able to talk about my afternoon delights and such, it's amazing, the trajectory and transition. I didn't even think I would be married because I dated women primarily for so many years of my life, even though I was attracted to men and slept with them. If you would have told me I would have a husband, I would have told you were crazy. But I was very okay with just being, quiet, because that's just the way we had to be at the time. In any case, I don't know what the climate is there in West Africa. So what I will tell you is, I just don't know what to really do. I feel there's a lot to sort through. Sometimes I wish I had walked away. If you had walked away, and I feel bad for it, well, if you had walked away, Mr. Choc, you wouldn't be who you are. Clearly, you are a guy of integrity. And I want you to understand something. The role that you played here is that you were an earth angel. And you could have been in his life, and I want you to think about this, only to get him to face his diagnosis and to face his reality. Sometimes we're sent in as harbingers of truth and change for people that are not willing to look at a thing. That doesn't mean that you are shackled to him, that you have to be with him for the rest of your life. That doesn't mean that you owe him anything if it's not a relationship that you delight in. Remember, I talked about that poem that I read in that erotica where that woman was talking about how she loved her man, and they've been together for 13 years, she said in that poem. And I'm not saying you have to have that level of dedication to your man, and that you do, because it's only been a year and a half. But what I'm saying is that if you don't feel like the relationship is beneficial for you energetically, if it's depleting you emotionally, that's advice I would give to anybody that's counseling with me. Then you find yourself a way to set free or get free or outsource. But your outsourcing is very complicated now because of this. I want you to be continually tested yourself, even though I know the viral load is undetectable, and I want you to take all the precautions. But that's something you have to consider. Is this the way you want to live? Not everybody's built for this. I was just watching Under the Skin, which is the thing here on YouTube, and it's where couples get undressed and talk about their relationship, and it's couples from all parts of the diaspora, all parts of life, walks of life, and the most recent episode is of a ableist couple where the guy is disabled and he has this really hot smoking wife, and people really question their relationship, and they question, why did she stay with him? Why would she want to be with him? She's smoking hot. He is like atrophied. He is not even a like fully grown man. Like his body, he looks like a child sitting in the chair. And so there's a question that people have about, why are you here, to the woman, right? There are some people who quite literally have charts and destinies that are supposed to be with people that don't fit the society and don't look like everybody, and they actually find love in that, and that is actually their destiny. But if you don't feel like that's your destiny, now that's something that you have to question. I was talking about my friend Ethel, who's a carny by rights, like literally grew up in like old school carny life, and she knew like the Lobster Boy and the Bearded Lady, quite literally, like toured with these people that we see that are fabled now, but you can find pictures of, and they were a couple. And she said that Lobster Boy had a hell of a temper and he was a horrible person. But Bearded Lady stayed with him because whatever. Maybe she didn't think she could do better. Maybe she was used to abuse. Maybe people treated her terribly because she was a Bearded Lady. I don't know what the reason was, but she said that Lobster Boy, who had the lobster claw hand kind of situation, was a horrible person, and he was a fighter, and he beat everybody up, and he was terrible, and he was like a like a bad human. And so I wondered about that. Did Bearded Lady stay with him because she felt bad because she couldn't do better? Did she stay with him because she felt guilty because he maybe guilted her about abandonment? This is what I'm saying. There are people in life that aren't like everybody, and they have loves that are unconventional, and they still reasons that we could never fathom or understand. Oh, okay. Sorry, I think I cut out there. Hold on one second. I don't know what you guys heard, but I was talking about Lobster Guy, and the Bearded Lady, who my friend who I was speaking about earlier, my Ethel, is a carny. She knew them actually and said that Lobster Guy was a horrible person. Bearded Lady stayed with him until she didn't. But the point is that sometimes we are destined to be in situations with people that we don't understand. You have to decide if that is your lot in life. Not everybody is cut out for that. And some people would walk away. Excuse me. Some people would walk away from situations that they felt didn't fit them, or that they felt like they would be shunned from. So you have to decide what is your story and what is right for you. Let me see what else you're saying here. Hold on. Oh, I feel bad for it. Phew, Monette. I feel like I did too much for him. I always do too much. Team too much. I'm totally team too much. With that busybody, those busybodies I had to cut out of my life, it was a fair trade. I had done too much. When they were like, oh, you abandoned me. Oh, you abandoned me. I was like, bitch, if you don't get your life, your ungrateful life, I have done way too much. So I totally relate to that. Let's see here. I always do too much. I'm tired of having feminine energy. Oh, my Choc. I just want to hug you. You're right. He does have an avoidant nature, and I'm very direct. These days, he's... Okay, I want to stop there. The busybody that I dealt with also had an avoidant nature. She avoided conversation. She avoided the two with her family. She was in the closet. She was weird. When I say weird, you're not weird for being in the closet, but I just didn't relate to her energy. She was allowed to be in the closet. That's her life or whatever. She was in the closet but wanted to fuck everybody in town. And I was like, how are we computing this? Everybody, their husbands, their wives, everybody. And I just didn't understand that. But then when I would have direct conversations with her, she was avoidant AF. That's not me. And I was like, I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy here. I don't like it here. I didn't like it there because I was like, this is not who I am. You can't have it all the ways, man, while I'm doing team too much and you're over here not wanting to have direct conversations. That's a huge pet peeve for us because Leos, we're like shoot from the hip. We're Annie Oakley. We're like, let's get it done. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. We're really good at that. And a lot of Leos are counselors and teachers for that reason because we parse out things. And so I know it is against your nature to be with someone who's avoidant. And that we may have figured out in this session what the lesson is. The lesson here for you was to know your worth and to know what you're really compatible with. It also is to not get into relationships too quickly. Message, that's about that new boo. All right, let's go back to see what else you said. All right. I'm tired of having feminine energy. You're right. He does have an avoidant energy, and I'm very direct. These days, he's beginning to open up, but I feel like I'm slipping away. Isn't that how it always happens? Now you want to talk, and then we're like, bye. It takes me, because we put so much energy in at first, and then the person exhausts us, and then we have nothing left. It's like, I don't want to talk to you about nothing. When my busybody texted me and was like, but I do love you, and fuck what you realize. I don't care. I have been spending years trying to pour into you. When I was right in front of your face, you should have talked to me. You should have had the opportunity. You had days. It wasn't just like it was one moment that slipped by. She had a week to get it right, to say, I'm sorry, to be a real human to me. Of course you love me, dummy. I'm the best person you had in your life. But sometimes we get tired. And I knew I was walking away for years because she was treating me so badly. I don't know if this guy's treating you badly, but I'm going to continue to read what you said here. Okay. When he became undetectable, he came up to me and was like, he truly loves and appreciates me, but I was kind of tired. B, I understand. And everyone around us is always thinking we're so good together. And in my head, the only reason we're good is because of me. Me. I carried the whole thing. If you don't preach a sermon this morning, Mr.Choc, if you don't preach a sermon this morning, I'm almost speechless. It's so good. Let me tell you something. Just to relate to you here in this situation. With the busybody that I poured a lot of time in who was sick energetically. She didn't have HIV, but she was sick. And when I say sick, sick in the head, sick emotionally, sick energetically, sick in so many ways. Defunct, avoidant, weird, narcissistic, all the things. I had made that relationship. And she hung it up to somebody else and was like, hey, look at how good I am in relationships. She was shit in relationships. She's a horrible person regarding relationships. I don't know if she'll ever be good in them, and I don't know. God bless her wherever she may be. But what I will tell you is that she literally used me, my energy, as we sweet empath. You're a divine feminine energy. Obviously, you understand that. So she used my energy, and there's a buzz on my phone. That was confirmations. The angels say it's true. You are operating out of your divine feminine energy. You may have to get masculine here in order to get clear, okay? So what my angels showed to me is that she was hanging up my relationship with her and using it like we have the best relationship and we make time for each other. All of these were skill sets I taught her. Communication, all skill sets I taught her. Connection, gifting, all skill sets. Not to say that she didn't gift. I'm sure that she would set gifts and stuff without me, so I don't want to take credit unduly there. But literally communication, time spent carving out time with your friend one-on-one. I'm huge on one-on-one time. I don't always like to be in a group. That's just like a weird pet peeve of mine. But in any case, so everybody was like, you guys have the best friendship. And her mom was like, oh, what a sweet friend. And her son loved our friendship. But it was because I cultivated it. Because she was always pushing me away. She was always being a fucking bitch. She was always being unreasonable. She was always wanting to disconnect. She was always looking to involve third parties. She was always unhinged. And I taught her how to be a human. And the second she figured out the lesson, she was like, I think that I'll indulge in extracurricular activities emotionally. It wasn't even sexually. It was just, well, it was sexually too, but it was emotionally that bothered me because I'm very liberal with the sexual part. And she did that. And I was like, well, then go have your new boo because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I do. It was me. I so relate to what you said there about carrying the relationship. I totally carried it, made it, and then she p-jacked it, kamikazed it. It was like, why are you leaving me? Because you're not doing shit. Because you aren't ever going to carry me, help me, love me, edify me, and I resent it. And I think resentment may be a word that's factoring in here for you. I will continue reading what you said. I also feel like he would have walked away if it were reversed. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you one thing. I feel that too. I have not wanted to say that to you this whole time, but I was going to say it to you when we do personally read. I feel the same thing. He wouldn't have done the same thing for you. My busybody wouldn't have done the same thing for me. She would not have been as patient with me. Listen, in the quick second that she decided to turn on me and decided that she wanted another somebody, she turned into a whole asshole. I'll never forgive her for it. Like, energetically, I had to forgive her. Esoterically, I had to forgive her. When I had my near-death experience, I had to, like, actually forgive her. But, like, as a human in my 3D body, fuck that bitch for life. Like, she tried me because I was so patient with her in so many ways, and she was so irrational with me in the last days because she had a new boo and she thought her shit didn't stink. She was amazingly magical, and it was all stuff that I had imbued her with. We know what we give as empaths, and she had siphoned my energy, fed it to someone else, Kesala, if you're listening, and she completely disregarded and disrespected me. And I was patient with her infinitely through all of her DUIs, through all of her fuck ups, through her lack of parenting, everything. I held her, and I was an earth angel, as you were. And sometimes that's our assignment. And there was nothing good that I could extract out of it other than beautiful lessons, a book that I've written that I'm debating and rewriting and going through, and other things. That I got a lot of lessons. I had a lot of things here to teach you about that crazy relationship. That's how I found her worth. I said, you were absolutely worthless to me regarding feeding me good energy in the relationship. So I will monetize you after it because that's all I can do. It's what we do. We transmute the energy. Maybe you might write a book about your experience with this for millions of people that are dealing with a similar situation, and you might have some life-saving energy and techniques to give to somebody. I have been able to help people because of how dirty she did me, and she was absolutely cruel and impatient with me and was non-communicative and avoidant when I was just trying to be like, girl, let me see. You've got some pus over here. Let me see if I can help clean this out for you because you don't realize it's going to kill you. It's going to turn gangrene. You're going to lose your body, your legs, your limbs, and your life playing games with someone else's wife. Anyway, that was my story. However, she rejected me and was so impatient with me and had zero tolerance for me and started acting like I was the devil when bitch she was actually the devil. She was actually with the devil, actually turned into a whole horrible human, and I didn't recognize her anymore. She would never see. It wasn't something I had to speculate. When you said I don't think he would have done the same for me, I can agree with you. He wouldn't have, and I hate to say it, but I know it was like an actual factuality here, just energetically. But I realized that is true because my person did not do the same for me. She didn't have a stitch of patience for me. She was not kind to me. She did not extend me anything. She gave me what she had in her energy, which was black hole sun and evil and meanness and cruelty and bullshit. That's what she had for me. She did not love me, and she was not patient with me. And she would have walked away. She did walk away from me. She walked away from me for high school meanness because I didn't look like everybody around her racist life, because I didn't fit in, because I wasn't white, even though she had fetishized me and acted like she loved me. We all have our stories, right? But I now realize that fetishization was mixed up with racism. She's really racist, and that's really what that was. In the dark of the night, she could fetishize me, but she was not patient with me, and she wasn't kind to me. She did not give me anything that I needed, and she never could, so I walked away, and I didn't feel bad about it. I felt good. I was like, this is great. I finally see who you are, and I see what it is. Now, what I don't like for you is that you're in this situation still, and you have to decide if you know that a person wouldn't be reciprocal to you, then God, this is a heavy thing. Like, do you deserve all this? I mean, that's like the thing you got to ask yourself. I'm going to see what you wrote here. Hold on 1 second. And lately, other people from the past have been trying to get back into my life. I'm like, girl, bye. That's Venus retrograde. They'll always come back. It's his first relationship too. Poor baby. These days, I'm trying to live my own life, hang out with my own people, and be more balanced. He never treated me badly per se. He just was pretty emotionally absent. I felt like a bored, lonely housewife. He is an Aries and I'm a Leo, if that helps. Excuse me. I'm gonna have to take some Zyrtec or something. I'm so stuffed up. Claritin. Clarity. I said Zyrtec, my angel said Claritin, and then they said clarity. They said, you have clarity now. I'm going to tell you right now, without the reading. And if we do read together ever, then that's good too. You're not supposed to be with him. That's it. Unfortunately, we started an eclipse season at the beginning of December. We're also in retrograde. That's why the X's are coming back, the Venus retrograde. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You're not supposed to be with him. This isn't about the HIV. You're his first relationship. Usually, we don't usually stay with the people that we have our first relationships with, or they don't stay with us. Here's what I don't want you to get to. This is what I just had a flash to, is that he falls in love with somebody else. While he's restricting you from an open relationship and getting your needs met, then he outsources and falls in love with someone else and then abandons you. And you're like, what the fuck did I just do? Why did I stay here? Why did I stay in the thick of this? What I'm going to tell you is I'm not predicting it, but I just had a little flash of it. Okay. This is not a prediction. What I will say is I just saw it. And for whatever reason, they wanted me to say it to you. Get yourself aligned. In the next 6 months, you're going to make up your mind about this relationship. And I want you to just be an observer. Don't leave it. Just watch what's happening. See if he meets your needs. Start taking an emotional tally. Don't hold it against him. Don't hold it up to him. Don't talk to him about it. You've already talked enough. He heard you. You've already articulated what you need. Does he love you? Maybe. Is he grateful for you? Certainly, surely. But is he going to be a good partner for you? Sounds like he doesn't even know how to be a good partner to himself. Sounds like he doesn't even know what he wants. Sounds like he was experimenting and having fun, was being reckless clearly, and contracted HIV. And now this is now your emotional burden and responsibility. I don't think so. And it's not because I think you should just go and that we abandon our people, but it's what I'm feeling energetically as I'm reading you, because I'm reading you. That's what it is. I'm energetically reading you right now, and I'm telling you that you're not happy. And period. You probably wouldn't have been happy. Now here's your lesson, and don't you ever forget it. Stop being impetuous when you get into relationships. What you asked me about initially, about the new delicious side piece, like I said, I wasn't wrong. Vet it. You need to be dating people longer than a month before you decide you're all in, because this is the kind of shit you get in. And I'm not mad at you, but I'm going to talk to you real talk. Real sister, big sister shit here. This is what you get into, is all kinds of craziness. And it won't just be HIV. It could be someone who has a bad temper. It could be someone who steals. It could be whatever. Do you know the person that you're loving? The busybody that I talk about picked someone who was a hot fucking mess and was in absolute emotional distress and was probably the worst person she ever ran into her life. I hope they stay together because they deserve each other. They actually fit right. But I was like, I don't like this vibration and I will not be a part of it. And she didn't vet the person. She let her loins vet the person. She let her hunger and her lust vet the person. We all have hunger and lust. We all have a honeymoon stage. We all have butterflies. We all want to push someone against the wall and fuck them. I get it. But what I don't get is not vetting. And I learned that the hard way. Okay. So vet the person that you're with, because you will discover things about them later that you don't even like. And you're like, why am I here? That's in any relationship, let alone adding the heaviness of an HIV diagnosis to it. Get to know the person. Are they boring? Would they bore you later? Are you really as attracted as you think? Or are you just needing to fulfill a need? That is your lesson. Tough talk, real talk with me this morning. Take time to not be impetuous getting into your relationships. I've noticed with my gay besties, that they can get in and out of relationships very quickly. That is the nature of men. I get it, but I want and listen as a person who slept with women and had a lot of lesbian relationships. I will tell you, enmeshment is the name of the game. You haul with people, we are immediately in love when we move in right away, and then it turns into a mess. I have been in a couple of those messes and had to extract myself. So now when I'm in love or feel a way about somebody, or in my life, past, history, present, future, I vet them. Are you a right person for me? Do we really fit? Are we compatible? I will never be in any kind of snafus. I'm never going to be laying with someone or dealing with someone or sharing energy with someone, no matter what my rules are in my marriage, unless they are vetted. You get it? We all have our rules. What I'm saying for you is, you don't sound happy, sir. You don't sound happy. And that has nothing to do with HIV. It sounds like you're not happy. Period. Full stop. And my angel said to acknowledge that. And they said to stop trying to make it about being a hero or martyring yourself. It would be the hangman if we were reading tarot. You put yourself in a situation, not a bad one. It's a bad one to maybe people listening, but what I'm saying is, it's not one you can't get out of. The reason that card shows up in the deck, the hangman, is because in biblical times, people asked to be hung upside down because they didn't feel worthy, like the Christ, right? That was hung right side up. So they would say, like, if you're going to hang me, at least hang me upside down. So they still volunteered for their crucifixion, if you will. And they decided to be on that cross. Not to say that they had a choice. Like, obviously they were going to be put on the cross for some reason, but they were like, at least they like exerted their free will, hanging me upside down. Here's the thing about the hangman. If you look at the card, you dive. I liken it to an oyster diver. You dive deep down and you have to constrict your lungs. Think about someone who dives from oysters and pearls, right? They dive, and as you go down into the ocean, we all know that the water compresses us and it squeezes oxygen out of us. So they're holding their breath, these free divers that dive for pearls, and they go down to get this thing, and they are uncomfortable for long moments, but they come up with treasure. That's why if you look at the hangman card in tarot, there is a halo usually, or a crown at the top of its head, which is exerting light, because in order to learn a lesson sometimes, we come up and we are now bright, but we had to be uncomfortable to learn it. This has been your lesson, Mr. Choc. This has been the way you've earned your stripes in life. This will be something you will not repeat. It will be something that you will always get right. And what it is you will not be impetuous in your relationships. It's not about HIV. It's not about being punished. This is not your reality. You are well and healthy. Amen. I speak that over you. But what I am saying to you is that you don't owe anybody a life sentence of love who is not loving you right, who just wants you to be there because they don't want to be frightened. They don't want to be abandoned. If they wouldn't do the same for you, then do you owe them the same? And I'm going to save you the trouble of what I had to learn and the pain I went through. No, they don't deserve you. Find your strength. Find your life. This eclipse season is going to help you get it right. Within the next 4 to 5 months, actually 4 months specifically, by May, you're out of there or you're in there, and you will stick and stay. But you will decide. The universe will give you every assist, and it just did. I'm so grateful we got to connect. They said, now exert your will and start observing if you feel like your needs are fulfilled. But don't you outsource to that new relationship as a quick fix. You do the work right, and they promise you that your next boo will actually be it. And I'm not talking about the new boo. If the new boo is just a little something to wake you up, then let that be something that fills your emotional cup. But you do the proper work of extricating yourself from this relationship responsibly, and I promise you they will send you in somebody who actually is attracted, fully connected, and open enough to be with you. You deserve that. And so it is. Oh, there's a lot of words. Hold on one second. Sometimes I feel I wanted to expose him and call his ass out because everyone thinks he's so good. So there you have it. How do I leave? I wanted to be strategic in my exit. Oh, here we are in the dating phase for about 4 months before we got into the relationship. So I thought I'd be pretty careful. I did everything right. I'm pretty. He be cheating and I want to cheat too. Girl, damn. I deserve it. I'll take your advice and just watch. Just watch and start to build your strategy. If this hoe is cheating on you on top of it, fuck him. Yo, fuck him. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I stand by that. And anybody that listens to this is going to stand by it too. And they might put their comments down beneath for you too, boo. Hell to the nah. And that's what I was dealing with the busybody. I was like, and you can't even act emotionally right? I let you be sexually free. Go fuck everybody. But you can't even emotionally be faithful to me? Then get fucked. I can't. I couldn't do it. I was so disgusted. And I'm disgusted now too, because here you are sacrificing and contorting yourself like a gymnast into a million different positions. And anyway, I'm glad we're on the same page, because what I just said was leave. And then when I read what you said you want to leave too. So we end at the very beginning. A very good place to start. So that new boo that came in was there to just prick your heart to show you that you needed an exit, that you needed to get out. And that's it. He was your get out. He was like, if you ever saw the movie Get Out, when they flash the camera, that's like your sign to wake up. Like it like wakes you up and makes you realize, oh shit, this is all bullshit. This is bullshit. This was a lesson and you will never have to go through it again. And so it is. So now you observe him and see if you feel depleted. Do you feel replenished? Do you feel edified? And if this hoe is cheating on top of it, I'm not calling him a hoe because he has HIV. I'm calling him a hoe because he's acting like a hoe. If he is cheating on top of it, then this is absolutely not the place for you to be. You can't get faithfulness and you're giving your life and having essentially this like sentence to life with this person who's kind of an okay person, but not really. Anyway, don't get me started this morning. I have clients that I have to get to. Oh, we've been talking forever. I love you. I want you to know that. You are loved. I am so glad that you were brave enough to share with me, because I got to dissect this and it's juicy. It is juicy. But here's what's juicier. You're about to start your real life. Concoct your exit strategy, but observe him first. Your angels will lead you. And I imagine in a reading we can really get it down, because I'm good at getting people in and out when they want to be in and out. If you want a relationship, I got you. 2022 is the year of a vibration of everyone working with you. Whatever you want is naturally attracted to you. If you want a little pizzazz, like you talked about with your new little boo thing, cool, it's there. If you want an exit strategy to get out of this with your old thing, cool, it's here. If you want to have peace and just work in a partnership to build a business, your angels are supporting it. 2022 is the year where partnership is aspected and partnership that's right for you. Partnerships that are not your right vibration will vibrate out of your alignment. So you will know what is true by May. And listen, you better come on here in May and tell us what happened, because now everybody is going to want to know, because this is an incredible story and we can't wait to see how you grow in it. And growth is what I speak over you. It has been wonderful sharing energy with you this morning, Mr. Choc, and anybody else who listened to this whole live. If you have a situation like this, comment below. Maybe you have some advice that I didn't give. Maybe you disagree with what I said. I am open to respectful discourse. I love you guys so much. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.